I want to play in Europe. What the hell does that mean, right? Because Europe could be Latvia, Luxembourg.
No one's talking about Latvia or Luxembourg, dumbass.
But you don't want to just shove it in there. Start with a smaller finger, especially if this is the first time. Start with a smaller finger and go slow.
I mean, there's a lot of things that need to change.
Honey, eating it is the best thing that you can do for your man.
I want people to realize I'm just human. I'm just human, and I make mistakes.
So this guy, Derek, wants to know, is putting your tongue in an ass really the thing to do?
Yeah, it feels really good.
It's a weird one, I think.
And I know you want me to toss your salad too, don't you? All right, on that note.
What are you saying, bro? You are.
Stop, bro. Stop, bro. Help me and stop.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Yes, we're back again. Geez, it feels like all we've been doing is the show all week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Now we'll be on Sunday. By the way, Tack will be joining us on Sunday to do a post right after the game review. We were just wrapping yesterday, and he's like, hey, let's do it. And I said, yeah, let's do it. All right, so... I really want that. I'd love to have.
Enough about your sex life, Derek.
I'd really like to have that Indian American lady on this show, the sex therapist lady.
The finger.
We should have her on the show. See if I can figure out who she is. Throw her into
identically different sized fingers. Start with the smaller one.
I just want to explain to her the finger thing. I need her to explain it to me because there's only one finger that's demonstrably smaller, and it's my pinky, and that's it. And I'm not fingering a girl with a pinky. That's just weird. All right. Anyhow, it's just it doesn't feel right. I don't know. All right.
Untouchable says, did 11 Yanks quit?
No, he's just got a job and he's busy. He's doing a play right now. God, I thought I knew the name of the play, or I probably did, and I've already forgot what it is. Sorry, but I know he's actively involved in a play. So he's working. He's working, and you got to all work. We got to all work. None of us are getting paid enough doing this, to just do this. Now that would be great, and I think really Barstool Sports is missing out on what would be the most appropriate show for their channel and their brand. Yeah. I mean, we should definitely be on their show. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what they're missing, but they need to figure it out. Where is Brett at? Looks like a place Pulisic would take breaks. And he is actually on vacation with Christian Pulisic.
Yeah. I took some nice photos for the thumbnail. We saw this one, of course.
Yeah. But that's a beauty.
One,
you took that one?
Yeah,
nice.
I took my iPhone 4.
Is that before or after his girlfriend pegged you?
Definitely before.
Is that a milkshake? What is that he's drinking?
It's a Mai Tai.
Oh, okay. So he's into that. All right. How's his hip flexor? Oh, damn, this is getting sexier. He's double dipping.
I asked Pulisic, I'm like, hey, bro, buddy. He said, yeah. Could you mind if I use this photo? It'll really drive up the clicks on our show tonight. And he goes, yeah. Normally I would say yeah, but no.
Yeah. Ed, I see that you asked him to hold your drink while you took photos.
It has to be steady, man.
It's quite a crotch shot. Is that planned?
He sat there and pulled it up too.
All right. Well, it's really nice to see the three of you having so much, getting along so well.
Milkshake.
Yeah, I want to drink your milkshake, baby. All right.
Milkshake beans.
By the way, R.I.P. to Brian Wilson, the genius of the Beach Boys. We lost him yesterday at the age of 82. One of my all-time faves. I didn't like all the beach songs or the songs about cars, but, I liked the more mellow ones that he did. And they were kind of groundbreaking. I wasn't into let's go surfing now. Everybody's learning how. Come on a safari with me. Wasn't into that. Yeah. So anyhow, although Little Surfer Girl's about a surfer girl, and that one's actually good. So there you go. In My Room, good call, Colin Reese. That one's brilliant. In My Room, beautiful song. Anyhow, it's not like he was making much music anymore, but he's sadly going to be. I mean, just his presence on the planet will be missed, right?
Yeah.
He was a genius. Also, the Darts World Cup is currently going on. Pet Sounds, thank you, MREC. Beautiful. One of the best albums, I think, maybe the best. I mean, there are arguments there. Darts World Cup. I watched Canada lose to Malaysia today in the Darts World Cup. And then the United States lost to Hong Kong. Now, in both cases, Canada and the United States are seeded and we're supposed to win. They both lost. Two teams that weren't really supposed to. But the problem is our team, we have a guy named Jules Van Dongen on our team. Yes, that's his real name. Ooh. Jules Van Dongen. And he is going through what's called dartitis, which means he's having a hard time letting loose of the dart because of it's usually it comes from a psychological expectation issue. You're afraid to throw it because you're afraid to see what the result's going to be. And when that starts happening, you can't release the dart. And he's absolutely and abjectly horrible. And there's only so much Mr. Hoosier and Dan Laube can do to cover for that guy. And so it's a one-man disaster going on there.
He's like,
yeah. Well, we got other players aren't going through dartitis right now. Why don't we pick one of those guys? Why do you have to pick the guy that's going through an issue right now for the World Cup? What a waste of time.
I love how there's an injury named specifically for a sport.
Mm-hmm. It is.
You get beaten down and tired, and you got socceritis or something like that, right?
Well, no, it's called the yips here in this country mostly. Remember when Chuck Knobloch couldn't throw a ball from second base to first? He was just yippy. He just couldn't do it anymore.
Is that like some British term then? The dartitis or whatever.
Dartitis, yeah. And it's like golfers who have the yips, right? Can't hit a 3-foot, 2-foot putt ever. Just the further away.
I know the yips. I didn't know about dartitis.
It's kind of like the yips, except you can't even get the dart out of your hand. And when you do, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. It shouldn't take you 30 seconds to throw a dart. It should take you 3 seconds to throw 3 darts, mostly. Okay, not 30 seconds a dart. That's a problem. Anyhow, that's all I got as far as fluff goes today. Those were things that I was thinking about today. You're thinking, Derek, that's what you think of during the day?
That's all.
I guess, yeah.
In between your old man naps.
Yeah, I'm jerking off. I mean, there's only so much I can fit in.
So much time in the day. Come on, man.
I am making 2 new videos for old Brando songs using AI, and I have to say, I'm starting to freak myself out with how good I'm getting at this. I took an old photo of a friend of mine named Josh who played piano on this song. It's just a blasé photo of him standing outside. And then I put a grand piano in front of him, and I made him sit down and play the grand piano in front of a small crowd in the middle of a yard somewhere. I mean, it's insane. It's blowing my mind what you can do with this. Yeah. I actually took a plain photo of me, gave myself a microphone, and made myself sing in front of it's just from 2002, a black and white photo. It's pretty insane. Anyhow, the results you will see soon. Now that I can actually get back in the Straight Red Card YouTube page again. That was annoying. Word to your mom. Anyhow, we got a lot to cover. We got the whole Pulisic thing. And we got a preview, obviously, coming up for the next game. And then, as I said, Tack will be joining us for post-game on Sunday. But, yes, we will be doing Sunday live. All right. What do we got, Brett? We got Colin Rigg. Married high school counselor jaw drops as she's sentenced to prison for having sex with one of her students in Ohio. 43-year-old mom, Emily Nutley. Her name's Nutley. Oh my God! What a horrible name to have for a child.
What was the name of that dart? What was the name of the dart dude?
Jules Van Dongen.
Yeah, I wonder if they're married.
They should.
Dongan and Nutley.
They should definitely hook up. But it sounds like she likes them young, although it never really tells us how young they were. But if you look at the picture of her, I think you scroll down. There's a photo of her.
Economic service where she worked for 18 years. 3 years in prison.
And there she is. Huh. Kind of weird. Wonder why she did it. Seems unnecessary. I mean, if he's like 16, I don't know.
I love how focused this dude right here is instead of her.
Yeah.
It looks like he was just like cropped in there, or maybe she was photoshopped in here from another video.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's focusing on him for whatever reason, but
yeah. Anyhow, sorry for her. I didn't really provide many details of the age of the victim. He was 17.
Just wait a fucking year, dude.
Oh God, 17. Okay, well, I don't know.
Pick a different state.
I can guarantee you this: he was in for it. He was totally ready to go. Okay. Now he apparently at the end wanted to stop the relationship. That's because he had enough. But and she kept contacting him.
He's like, sweetie, it's time for me to start focusing on chicks half your age.
I mean, honestly, 17. I mean, I was a man. I'm sorry. All right. I've been a man for a couple years already. Honestly.
Yeah, with three different teachers, right?
No, none teachers. No teachers, but I mean, there were probably a couple teachers in my
I was just thinking about that too. It's going back to my mind. I'm like, I don't think there was a single teacher that would be like.
I did in college. I did an assistant professor once.
College is different.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying. I've dabbled. Oh God.
Right. You were saying with an IA, right?
Yeah. Assistant instructor. Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, she was only 5 or 6 years older than me.
17.
I was.
As that song goes, she was only what? Was it 16?
I was 20. She was like 27, something like that.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was only taking that gig to get the foot into most of the guys. I
was such an idiot. I almost used her name there for a second. I am such a moron. What a dumbass.
Statutes of limitation, Derek.
I don't care. I wouldn't want to even put that. Her name's really unique. So anyhow.
Unique? Don't think her name's unique. No.
Her name is unique. Yeah. It was spelled YOONIQUE. Unique.
UUUNIQ.
Yeah. All right. What else you got, Brett?
For use. Well, we got some. Okay, stop this. We got a couple of videos here. Oh, we got a lot of videos. Let me rephrase that. A lot of videos. So actually, we're going to be watching more video today than we've watched in most of our shows. I'm not sure how monetization is really going to work on this. I think somebody's going to ding us on something.
Could be.
Yep. Geo.
Yes, Geo.
Look, it looks like he's taking a photo from like 1980s school photo.
Yeah, it's weird.
Who did this background?
It's weird. High school photo.
Really? Well, yeah. Well, that's in 1980s. Of course, you think of high school.
He plays on the high school tennis team. We're the Tigers. It's the high school. It's a Kanaka College, junior college tennis team photos time. All right.
Mercury says AIGO.
It does look like AIGO.
Yeah, it's too clean cut.
What's he saying?
Rarely see him in not a jersey, so.
So, Gio, what are your earliest memories of watching the World Cup?
Okay.
I don't care.
What? What are your earliest memories of watching World? What is he, like 20 years old? I mean, come on. How far back can he go? Like,
20 years.
Do you remember your dad playing in the World Cup? No.
No.
So if he can't remember what his dad was doing in the World Cup, when do you think it really is going to start?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the guy asking him the questions probably like 20 himself. So
yeah.
I think maybe the 2010 World Cup is when I started to really remember. And
That was like
football,
yesterday.
when South
Seriously?
Africa scored this goal in the first game against Mexico, and they all did the dance in the corner near the corner flag. I think it's the year Landon Donovan scored the late goal against Algeria.
You think?
Do you think Gio bringing up Landon Donovan in a positive light is going to split his friendship or at least his association with Christian Pulisic?
No. No, I don't. I really don't. I don't think any of this is actually that big of a deal. We'll get into it. But yeah, it's not that big of a deal. All this will go. All things will go under the bridge eventually.
Who's the dude jumping on top of everybody like it's like a leaf pile?
No, if I didn't know any better, I'd say Lawless, but he wasn't there.
That's no, red hair would be flowing out all the sides.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anybody by their number by any means. Imagine Donovan's at the very bottom of this pit.
Yeah, we can see Dempsey. He's like, I'm not really getting on this pile.
I'm good enough here, guys.
Yeah, this is good.
Well, it can't be Beckerman because we'd see his woolly mammoth hair.
Yep. Who cares? I can't tell by the ass and leg alone.
This one in 2014.
You say Colin St. Trundle.
A big win against Ghana. These are probably the two I remember the most growing up.
What have you enjoyed about working with Mauricio Pochettino?
Nothing. I barely work with him.
That motherfucker didn't play me except for 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
And then after
and
even before that, he had already said that I don't fit his scheme in an interview.
Oh man.
All right.
So far.
It's only been one camp, so yeah, I really just enjoyed getting to know him and sort of how he works. And of course, that's sort of the first thing you want to do when a new coach comes in is get to know him. And
good
the
answer.
details he
You're
likes.
right. This is going to get us so pegged. This Bleacher Report thing is going to get us so demonetized.
We've had to request a review on a number of videos that were being done monetization.
Oh, this is definitely going to get us.
Won every single one of them.
Yeah, we did win every one of them.
This will be no different. This will be no different.
Yep.
See some things he doesn't like. So yeah, I think he has a good balance of being demanding on the players during training, but also very, very relaxed and just sort of happy-go-lucky guy. Who
So basically, he's like, hey, we're going to make you run sprints all day today, and I'm going to sit over here and laugh at you. Run faster!
While I make you work your ass off, I'm going to tell jokes. I'm telling jokes over here. I'll be here all week. All right. Yeah. Sure. Do we really need to? Do you want to watch any more of this? Because this is going to get us so fucked. And it's not worth it. There's nothing in here.
Yeah. I mean, we could eat. Well, we wouldn't get fucked, but we can stop watching. I mean, you're right. There's a lot of nothing burger questions being asked, but I mean, they go into talking about his what he expects from the World Cup.
Good luck making it, buddy. There we go. That's probably a smarter way to do it.
Enjoy the time and do something special that our country's never really done before, whether it's winning or going to the quarterfinals, but performing really, really well and bringing a lot of energy and a lot of fun to the country and the sport there. I think that's the main goal.
A better question would have been, are you really sure you're going to make the World Cup team? Because honestly, at this point, I'm not really 100% sure he is.
We'll see. We got a year. We got a handful of windows. Who knows?
I mean, we get into this poach thing that came out today, man. I'm starting to really wonder.
You mean Donovan? Not Donovan.
Pulisic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way McKennie, the way McKennie affects, and the question about whether or not that also affected Tessman and other players who were willing to come in and play 2 friendlies, but not the Gold Cup. I don't know.
Yeah, I brought that up about Balogun and Dest, and then all of a sudden I get called out that I'm slandering Ballo and Dest. I'm like, dude, I've never said anything of the sort. I'm just saying that maybe Balogun and Dest, who are coming off of long injuries, might just be willing to play the 2 friendlies, but not necessarily get CONCACAF for 5 games.
Yeah, right.
Just saying.
Yeah, and you got to ask yourself, what are we preparing for here? Are we preparing for the Gold Cup? Somebody's like, well, yeah, this,
Oh, yeah, we had that.
All right, we'll get into it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. This hits a little close to home because it's about Chicago.
It's my last.
So,
oh my God! I drank the whole case.
You alcoholic.
All right. Well, no, I mean every weekend I bring a few to my dad's, and my mom's, and they have a couple too. So I share.
I hear. So we all heard the sad news that Kevin De Bruyne decided to pick a sad, weak team in Italy instead of the mighty Chicago Fire.
Whatever.
So yeah, he is officially joining Napoli.
Good.
Will says you really fumbled this one, MLS. And I said, I'm gonna pull this up with my thing here. Come on.
He's gonna be playing Champions League next year. I know you're joking, but
well, yeah, you have the talking points of people who don't know that I'm joking. But I can't get over that he chose Napoli over the city of Chicago. Absolutely nuts.
You make comments like that. You do realize a lot of people don't know your sense of humor,
dude. And the ones that were responding to me in this one were like Europeans and stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody actually had to delete all of their comments to me because I was like, hey, dude, I'm going to go ahead and give you a pass on this one because you don't know anything about MLS and you don't know anything about Chicago.
Yeah.
To know that I'm being sarcastic here. So I'm going to give you a pass. Then he's like, oh, but then you started talking about how because I mentioned, Napoli's more likely to get relegated than Chicago is. And then he's like, but then you went on to talk about how Napoli is likely to get relegated. Lefmau.
It's a joke,
bro.
Dude.
Come on.
Chicago can't get relegated. Yeah.
Well, once I said, I'm going to give you a pass again because you don't know anything about MLS. Chicago cannot get relegated because there's no promotion relegation. And at that point, he deleted everything he sent to me.
He shouldn't have deleted it. What a wimp.
Oh, God, it was fucking funny. I had all the intent of bringing it up. I mean, we have other ones like, what? Says playing the Champions League over America, not crazy. And I go, psh, what's Champions League got that League's Cup doesn't? Napoli is far more likely to get relegated. You
just kept pushing us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Chicago, a high crime waste of life. Yeah, he did not go. He did good not going to that dump. So,
oh my God.
It's just like, oh man, these guys.
Do not understand tongue in cheek, but I also understand what, because they don't know you. They don't know you.
Well, even if they did know me, if they did know me, they'd know I'd be joking about
yes.
But I mean, I give everybody a pass because anybody who was like seriously like, bro, I was like, come on, man.
Right. I mean, you could have put a wink after the comment.
I go, don't even get me started about the weather. I mean, hot, humid, 99-degree summer days, frigid, cold air in the wintertime, or do you want to go lounging in a Mediterranean environment? Blech,
Yeah, like you are right now. So I just, you could put a wink at the end of your comment.
No. Okay. Nobody will respond to it. Kidding me? They look at it and go, eh.
Oh, so you're trolling, kind of.
Well, with sarcasm, sure.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
sarcasm, I guess, but
yeah, if people don't know you're being sarcastic, then you're trolling. Yes.
Well, no. See, now it wasn't really trolling Will. That's who I was responding to. The people decided to chime in on me. That's not me trolling them. That's them falling for sarcasm.
Well, that's them reading it, going, I don't know who this guy is. This guy's an idiot.
You go, like, you Americans don't know anything about soccer. I'm like, okay.
All right. Well, you brought that onto yourself by not adding a wink. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's lame. Don't ever add a wink, Derek. If you ever get sarcastic on a post, don't ever say like /S. That's lame.
All right. I'm never sarcastic on Twitter. So
yeah, exactly right.
Right. All right, what else we got?
Let's see. We got some of this.
Transfer news, transfer news. Who's getting monitored on transfer news? Who's getting over on transfer news? Transfer news. Everyone loves that transfer news, but me. Whatever.
Sad news. Chelsea's only bringing La Cucaracha at left back, and they're not bringing another left back. So they're like, oh, do they just not rate Wiley? Well, no, Wiley's in talks of moving on, moving on, but moving on to another loan
army. He's a part of the loan army. Anybody expecting him to join won't going to happen. He is just loan army.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean that's the thing. I guess the serious answer is yes. They don't rate him. They don't rate him enough to bring him. They're like, well, we'll shift somebody over there, or we'll change the formation.
It's kind of like Matt Miazga. It's the same thing. They let him play one game.
Matt only played for Chelsea, so.
Yep. At least he got a game, right?
Yeah.
Game. Game. I mean, Wiley knew that going there. He knew he was never going to play on that team. He had to know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, you get that big transfer out of MLS to a big team, and I say
wasn't that big of a transfer.
Yeah, I almost would have held off and hoped to get somebody who actually wants to play me at some point. But I mean, I make the argument all the time. Chelsea comes a knocking. It's gotta be tough for anybody to say, "I'm good, bro."
Yeah,
I'll stick it out over here.
I mean, listen, it's a chance. I think he knew he was going to go on loan army, and I think it started off pretty well at Strasbourg before the injury, and then he went to Watford. That was okay, and he got to start playing a lot once he was healthy there. And I don't know. I'm sure he'll go back to another championship team next this coming window. So, yep. All right. Anything else there?
Not with the transfer news. That was the only transfer news that came out. I was kind of surprised, but then again, all the news this week has just been but taken over by the international window.
Yeah.
And Pulisic and Donovan and all that stuff. So there's not a lot of transfer news talk going about. At least
right.
Our boys.
Right.
And nothing new from what we've already reported. Let's put it that way.
Well, there's no point in us making up news that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we hitting here next?
I am trying to figure that out real quick. What do I got going on here next?
Okay.
Sorry, the screen that I was on was not the screen I wanted to be on.
Did you hear about that guy in India? He's a British Indian guy, and the plane crashed in India. All 241 people died except for him. Lone survivors in a plane crash. And people are saying he jumped out of the plane as it crashed. No, he did not. Sorry. It's not what he did.
Well, and on top of that, what a place to land, because at that point you're just going to be praised as not a deity, but what are the holy men that they have, like the guy who held his hand up for like 3 or 10 years straight. People come and they're like, more kind of, I guess. I forgot what they're referred to as, but yeah, he's gonna come out there like, dude, I fucking survived. And people are like, holy shit, oh my god.
Yeah, well, 11A, and yeah, you're not going to be jumping from a plane going 300 kilometers an hour, wrecking, and jump out of it unless you landed on a giant cushion or a giant
jump, right?
Yeah. Even then, you're smashing some bones because that cushion probably not going to stop from you smashing straight through most of it and hitting some part of it on the ground. Anyhow, that didn't happen. He survived it because he just happened to be in the one part of the plane that broke off and really wasn't hit by anything. He's lucky. Yeah. He's extremely lucky. But him jumping out of the plane, no, he did not jump out of the plane. I can't wait for this to be disproved. He said he jumped out of the plane. I think he meant he jumped out of the plane after it already wrecked, and he took his seatbelt off, and then he jumped out the plane. So people are misunderstanding this.
There, back in the day, and I say back in the day because they haven't been great for a while, and then the company got dissolved. Back in the day when Rooster Teeth was a funny channel to really follow and watch. There's a British guy on there called Gavin, and he's on the podcast talking about. They talk about random shit all the time, but there's one conversation I
Newsom?
recall. Nope, not Newsom. No, I said British. I said British, not Dickish.
Okay, my bad.
No, so there's this one little segment where they talked about a plane crashing into a mountain, and Gavin goes, "Well, here's what I would do in that case. I would jump out of the plane, and as I come down to the mountain, I would just start running really fast, and then when I hit the ground, I would just run down the mountain." I'm like everybody's laughing, like nobody's taking him serious, but he's like, "No, seriously." I'm like, they spend like 30 minutes on an argument. Dude, that would never happen.
It's not working.
Your legs would shatter, and
Yes.
your go right through your skull. Come on, dude.
Yes, your legs would shatter. You'd smash your face onto the ground. You'd be actually better going uphill than down. Anyhow,
barrel roll.
Either way, you're dying. So yeah, barrel roll. This did not happen. He did not jump from a plane. Just telling you. I've read all the reports. They keep saying that, and I'm like, no, he did not.
He was actually in the bathroom.
No, he was not. He was in seat 11A near the exit, and he did not jump from that exit until after the plane had stopped crashing. Then he got up and went, "Holy shit, everyone around," he says this even, "everyone around me was dead and dying." Okay, well, yeah, because he was still sitting in it. The cockpit with everybody, or the whatever, the tube with everybody else. That's how he saw that. Then he jumped from the plane. People are totally misunderstanding what he's saying.
Alex says he'll have survivor's guilt. His brother passed in that plane.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of photos that people took out before that flight took off that were on Twitter, and they're all dead now. So that's why I hate planes. Only takes one missing screw to take down a plane. One bad day. Some engineer had a bad day. Some mechanic had a bad day. Didn't sleep last night. His baby was crying all fucking night. He got up and was foggy-headed and didn't do his job. And then the plane goes down.
In fairness, on the road, it only takes one drunk dumbass or one guy who pulled a 14-hour shift after getting 3 hours of sleep because his newborn kept him up all night. And that happens more often than on a plane, but that happens on less of a grand scale, of course. Because obviously, if a plane crashes, it's like 200 people pass, whereas a drunk driver hits another car, maybe like 3 people pass.
Right.
Drunk driver always walks around unscathed, though, in the end.
And I always feel like in my car, I have some chance because I'm in control. I'm at the wheel. I hate being a passenger in a car. Hate it. But if I'm driving it, I feel like I might have the wits to just figure out how to get out of a tricky situation.
Come Columbus. I've got you and Chad who can drive, and I don't have to worry about it.
Well,
yes.
I'll just suck it up and let you guys drive. But anyhow,
no, you can drive us there, and then that way you can get drunk and then not drive back drunk.
I probably will have a few beers. Yes.
God, I gotta tell you, man, when making that trip up to Chicago for a Fire game, and then starts at 7:30, 8 o'clock. By the time you get out of that parking lot, it's like 11 o'clock, and you're driving down, I-65 to go back home after having a few bevs during tailgating, not during the game, but afterwards. But you're still like, yeah, fucking boring.
Yeah.
I just want.
Yeah. Well, there'll be 3 of us. It won't be that boring.
No. Well, it might be 4 of us. I think one of his neighbors are wanting to go. So
okay, cool.
We need to look at into tickets and stuff there.
Yeah. All right.
Soon.
That'll be fun. All right, what's going on? What do we got next?
Zach says the haters said U.S. men's national team was shite. I didn't believe him, but they're right. The haters no ball.
I think this is a troll. We'll have him on, so we'll figure it out. But
well, I mean, I don't think he thinks the U.S. men's national team is shit. I think he understands that we're playing like shit. We have talented players.
Has he gone to the dark side? I don't know.
I think he's jaded. He's jaded after years of Berhalter ball, and now Poach let him down. You were the chosen one.
Well, maybe. I hope he hasn't gone all the way to the other side because I don't think the team is shite. I think the players aren't shite. I think they care. I don't think they care enough. But we'll get into that later.
Harrison wants to know if we're planning on having another call-in show again. Yeah, we've had 2 so far. Of lately, at least. Let's rephrase that, because we've had more than 2, but...
We'll do another one. Yeah, maybe we'll slate
it's
next.
It's not going to happen during the Gold Cup.
No.
There's too much going on that our show, their watch-alongs, conversations, is just going to be too much. The call-ins are really like when things slow down.
Yeah. When things slow down, we'll do it again. By the way, for the 251 of you here now, make sure you like, subscribe, share with your grandma and your mom and your stepsister and your stepbrothers.
Harrison says, I hope so. I need to rant. Hey, write them down in your dream journal, buddy. And then when the show happens, you'll be ready.
Your dream journal. I like that. You have one of those?
Oh, who doesn't have a dream journal?
A dream journal. Okay. Yeah. I don't have one. All right. And I have all kinds of ideas.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't think the team is shit, but again, yeah, we'll talk to Tack on Sunday.
I mean,
after we watch and play. We're playing Suriname. We're playing TNT. We're playing. I think Saudi's our last match.
Trinidad.
Is it Trinidad? Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, is this current team playing like shit? Absolutely is. Is the coach?
Well, yeah. The problem is that it's just been shit. That was an okay match. Shit. That was an okay match. Shit.
Yeah. Well, shit for a while.
I mean, but then you're playing devil's advocate here. If Sargent's first shot on Panama, instead of getting deflected, happened to go past the defender, maybe or even if it just happened to deflect into the goal, or if Weah wasn't offside and still set up Sargent for that goal and we beat Panama, are we still sitting here going like, man, this is horrible? Or are we sitting here going like, okay, well, it's kind of a mixed bag still?
No, it's still a mixed bag.
I mean, look at the game against Turkey, and we allow the 2 goals in 2 minutes, but we had chances, not great chances, but
it's still a mixed bag.
It's still a mixed bag.
But funny, my brother texted me on the TNT game versus USA. He asked me, I don't know what app he's using. Let me see if I can see it. It doesn't matter. It's a betting app. And basically he took 2.5 that we'd score over 2.5 goals versus Trinidad. And I texted him back and I said, US wins 2-0 at best. Could end 2-1, actually. This team is a B team and playing shockingly bad. And he said, well, it was 100% boost, so I had to do it. He bet the U.S. is going to score 3 goals against Trinidad. I wouldn't do that right now.
I'd drop a 5 on it.
And he says, I know, but we were still like minus 500 for that win, but I agree. We blow giant cow testes.
I'm sorry. I was thinking the minus and positives too opposite there. So minus. So clearly saying that USA is going to win.
Yes.
And I think we will win.
I do too.
Will we win by 3? I mean, it really depends. I mean, we have players in the sense that I feel like are going to be able to break Trinidad and Tobago down. It's just whether or not we finish our chances.
But he took the over on 2.5.
Yeah, so he's saying they got to score 3 goals.
Yeah, and I
win score by 3 or win by 3.
Win by over 2.5 goals.
Yeah, so we need to win by 3. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the scary thing is not necessarily the scoring of goals; it's the leaking them in.
Right. Where the fuck is Scally? Soccer Satan asks.
Yeah.
He wasn't picked.
Too many soccer decisions. I think Coach may have. If hindsight was always 2020, Coach may want to go back and change. Right.
Yes, and we'll get into that. And there's one particular reason why a lot of those guys didn't show, and we will discuss that in a second.
So we did the live stream over Switzerland, and here's what Poach had to say about the game. Can you read that?
Yes. I don't like to give excuses. I'm the guilty one here. If you want to criticize me, go ahead. first of all, it's our responsibility, my responsibility for the choice of the starting 11. We want the entire team to have minutes and to play. I think that can go in the wrong direction. No kidding. We were never in the game in the first half against Switzerland. Who have experienced players and are playing very well. I thought, I can't blame the players. It's on us. You mean you. Yeah. The decision didn't work. And when the decision doesn't work, you have to be critical of yourself. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking. That was so obvious that wasn't going to work. And had he played a back three, would have had a better chance. But you don't put Max Arfson on an island and have him play against one of the best right wingers in the world and try to play defense solo versus him one-on-one without three center backs backing him up. It's fucking ridiculous. That's the dumbest thing you could have done. And then Harriel didn't do much better out wide on his side either. Those guys were fucked. Not so much that they were playing, but in the way the game was set up to fuck them. And I don't know. I mean, it could have been worse than 4-0, honestly. Could have been.
It could have been, because we talked about in the second half that it looked like Switzerland sort of dropped back or took their foot off the pedal. Hell, even watching the ESPN discussion about this game, Stevie was talking about how we were lucky X, Y, and Z. And then Casey Keller came back and said, "Hey, I wanted to address him that Stevie says usually agree with most of everything he says, except for this. Hey, when we came back out of a halftime, they scored 4 in the first half. They didn't score any in the second half. Clearly, we got better.
Yeah,
and
it was
Stevie
better.
And the guy next to Stevie and the guy that was on the other screen were basically chiming in very quietly behind him, going, "Yeah, I don't think they were really trying as hard as they were. It's already 4-0 up,
Yeah.
So there's that. I will say one thing about this. It's refreshing to have a coach finally take the blame on a poor performance.
Yeah, but
said, "Hey, I fucked up, guys. I put them in positions to fail. Unfortunately,
he didn't say that.
Like this, what he kind of says here.
Here's what he said. I put a team out that sucked, and that's on me. That's what he said.
That's fair. That's fair. Yes. Okay.
He said these guys sucked, and they suck. And I made the decision to play these sucky players, and it's on me. That's what he's saying.
That's a great point.
Is he really taking any responsibility?
Oh, yes. He picked those 11 or those players. He handpicked those players and put them on this one roster.
He said, "Listen, I didn't know they sucked this bad until they played that first half. Then I knew they weren't ready for prime time. These players it went the wrong direction. They suck. Not I sucked because I put a left winger at left back named Max Arfson who can't play left back and never has to play left back at Columbus. He's a winger. He's a left wing back. He never gets put on an island at Columbus against the best players in the world, which is what happened to him. And he got burned. So, yeah, it's not only that these players, they don't suck. You set them up to suck.
Yeah, it's talking about that as far as him basically coming out and saying, "Yeah, I put out 11 players that suck as a team."
Yes.
In this one. But read that last line. I can't blame the players. It's on us. Well, I can't blame the players for sucking. I was the one who chose them.
Yes. Yep. Can't blame the players. I was so stupid. I didn't know they were horrible.
Well, and as we discussed, if the formation that came out in the second half and played, if they played that the entire game with that squad that was out there, I think it wouldn't have been as bad as far as scoreline is concerned.
Oh, because of mercy.
They still would have scored goals, but we would have had enough people back there that I think maybe we would have blocked opportunities too.
Maybe, but I mean, we are saying that obviously Switzerland took their foot off the pedal in the second half.
Absolutely.
But I also think it was a better team that we had out there in the second half.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both. This team, I think you start the same 11 and you start with 3 in the back. And I think it doesn't look as bad. But this was horrible. So he's basically saying, I'm taking responsibility because this team sucks that I fielded. And that's on me. I wanted everybody to play. He said that too.
Well,
And that was a bad decision because these guys didn't deserve to play because they're bad and they suck. That's what he's saying. How much out is that really taking much responsibility?
Well, it's also funny because obviously he made certain decisions because of footballing reasons, and now he's sitting here acknowledging that, well, to an extent, that sometimes heart just isn't going to accomplish it.
Well, what I'm starting to hear behind the scenes is there were a number of players who raised their hand and said, "Listen, I had a long, hard season. I'm going to come in and play those 2 friendlies if you'll have me. And then I got to go." And he said, fuck off. Not just Pulisic. It wasn't just Pulisic. It was a lot of the other guys too who said, listen, it's been a long, hard season. I'll come in and I'll play the 2 friendlies against Switzerland and Turkey. Those are big games against really good competition. I want to be there as part of the team. He said, fuck off. No, one roster. Go suck eggs.
Yeah, when we come to this point later on the show, we're still going to cover this. Just so you know.
So, and listen, you can be stubborn like that if you want, but Bob's your uncle for $1.99. Wes and Weah catching strays because of Poach. I mean, they shouldn't be catching any strays because it is very clear at this point that both Wes and Weah would have come to the 2 friendlies had it
been treated as 2 different windows.
If it had been treated as 2 different windows, but we're told. Nope. Sorry. This is one roster, and you're playing the Club World Cup, which is not their fault at all. They didn't choose to start this thing called the Club World Cup that Juventus is going to play in. Same with Reina. He didn't choose this. They are there, but all 3 of them have intimated behind the scenes that they would have come in for the 2 friendlies had they been asked.
I think the decision to play this as one window was made a long time ago because, again, we talked about the Nations League and Gio Reyna, and Poach coming out and saying, hey, this is the only time we're going to be able to evaluate him all summer, so let's go ahead and do it now. Not during the summer when he's probably going to be the Club World Cup. At that point, you've got to imagine that he's looking at this extended window of a long month anyways, but then I get them for another week or 2 prior to that. I can really instill it and get most of my boys in there. Nope, they don't want to come in for the Gold Cup. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. Okay, but Derek, why is Reina sitting on his ass not leaving Dortmund? I don't think he has any choice in the matter. Right now, I think Dortmund are having a hard time getting the dollars they want from him.
His value keeps decreasing.
His value has gone from $30 million, $40 million to $7 million in 2.5 years. That is a steep drop off. And I know the Dortmund plan was to play him enough this season that he could maintain or gain on his value, and then they would sell him. Well, now they're going to be giving him away for a pittance. Dortmund are not used to doing that, and so they're having a hard time finding.
I suspect, and I think you kind of led me down this road in the end, but I suspect that that Dortmund's looking at. Well, first off, I don't think they have any concrete offers at this point. Maybe they have some interest. It's all quote unquote interest, but they're looking at this. Well, let's bring him into the Club World Cup, and then maybe he can get 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and maybe he does something that we can sit there and push back on an offer and say, no, we won $8 million because of this. Look what he can do. One last Hail Mary for a couple $100,000.
The rumor is that a lot of these clubs are going to be playing like 22 players in this Club World Cup to keep everybody fresh.
Oh, sure.
Because they are worn the fuck out after a long season. So I would expect he might even get a start in this Club World Cup, honestly. So they're hoping maybe one last shining moment, but I think the writing is on the wall for Reina. So he's probably going to end up somewhere, surprisingly for some of us, we didn't expect. And it's not going to be for a big club. I can tell you that. It's going to be for a middle-of-the-road club. Unless you go to Holland, go to PSV or something. But, I mean, you got to get rid of Tillman then. Yeah. Nations League is a made-up tournament that is 4 years old. I agree, but it is, unfortunately, in our region, taken priority over Gold Cup.
Is the intent to just end up replacing the Gold Cup in the end?
Might as well.
I mean, what's the point in the end?
It hasn't been important to us for 4 years. We've used B and C teams.
Yeah, prior to that, before there was a Nations League, yeah, we were sending kind of a mishmash, kind of A, B minus or B plus team.
Yep.
There may be an occasional player that couldn't make it for X, Y, or Z reason, but we were pretty much sending a full squad to Gold Cup. But then again, so was everybody else. It's Mexico,
but
so was Panama, so was
Nations League. Nations League, I don't know why, has become more important to USSF and US soccer than Gold Cup. And following that shift in importance, the players shifted along with it. So saying, oh, well, the players just don't understand how important the Gold Cup. Well, Gold Cup hasn't been important to U.S. soccer.
Yeah.
Or Greg Berhalter through his tenure. Now, all of a sudden, you're expecting them a whole change of course, you could talk to them and say, hey, it's important this year because we're building towards the World Cup. Now we need you here. But then again, their mentality is already where it is. And, I mean, it's just the schedules that these players play are absolutely insane in Europe.
Well, I mean, in years past, the 3 years prior to this year, Nations League finals ended like May or June, and then Gold Cup always followed immediately. So at that point, there's no chance in hell they're going to call in the same players for it. But to your point you made earlier, why is Nations League all of a sudden that big of a brouhaha?
I don't know, but they have made it now. Like I said earlier, you could call them, the players, and say, well, this year it's Gold Cup is important. But then I found out that they don't call our players. So
yeah,
there's that problem too.
I've got that written down here. Yeah, we got it.
Pulisic received one call. Dest received no calls. Zero.
Well,
we were worried about Nathan Brown. Dest reserved 0 calls from Pochettino. Okay, sorry, assistant coach called him. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, Pulisic said that we'll listen to his actual words, but he said that I've only like, hey, what was the conversation like between you and Poch? And he's like, well, I've really only had the one phone call with Poch about it. He's talking about that incident. I'm sure he's talked to Poch prior to this, but the other point you made, and I brought this up on a tweet as well, that he hadn't talked to Dest at all until this window.
Also,
and he shipped his ass home.
When we will get to that interview, it's very clear, Pulisic says, Poch is not a caller. He doesn't call. He isn't calling on the regular. Not even.
He's old school like that.
It's very long spaces in between those 2 calls. I think total 2 calls so far.
Yeah.
From Poch. 2. All right. But, I mean, when you want to check in on your player more often, I mean, not Berhalter often. You don't need to talk to them once every 2 weeks. Maybe once a month. Once every couple months, maybe. I don't know.
Most. I mean, you probably have to do that anyways when you're calling people in anyhow. But at most, I mean, just send them a text. Hey, Pulisic, sweet goal, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's not buddy with them. So maybe, I mean, at that point, why would you even bother? It's all business. So like this window, you don't call in Scally. So Scally didn't receive. My guess would be Scally didn't receive a phone call from.
Poach. Oh no.
Sargent didn't receive a phone call. Testman didn't receive a phone call.
No.
Unless they received a phone call to say, hey, come on in, but we need you for the full month and some change. And they're like, ooh, buddy.
Well, not for Sargent. He wasn't called at all. They want nothing. They want nothing to do with them. If you can find John, he made a good comment.
This one?
I don't like Pulisic's personality. He claims that he doesn't care about any of it, then proceeds to whine about it. Yeah, going on Jimmy's show, Jimmy and Chuck show, or Jimmy and Tony and Chuck show, whatever you want to call it.
Call it what you want.
You can call it what you want. Shows he clearly cares. This was an emergency meeting. This was batting down this interview the day before it happened. He reached out to the show and said, I need to come on and clear some things up. This was not planned. There was no schedule. It was initiated by him. More than likely, I can't, as far as I understand it, because this is an emergency situation and he wanted to get some shit off his chest. That's why that happened. Period.
Well, I mean, he went. We may cover some of this. I'm not sure, but he does go on and talk about how like it's like, I really just saying I don't listen to it. I don't really spend too much time on the socials. But some people are just treat you one way to your face and another way when you put a camera in front of theirs. So I mean, it's like it is. It's one of those things like I don't care about it, but then my feelings were hurt, as we're going to find out later on from Unfiltered.
Yeah, right. So anyhow, it's sort of a dichotomy there. I don't really care. If you really don't care, don't bother going on Jimmy's show unless somebody at U.S. Soccer called you up and said, you really got to fix this.
People are pissed off at us because we told them that you just need to rest. And that's what you told us. So you got to go out there and tell them you're not injured and you just want to rest.
Well, he didn't really give us the hip flexor, did he?
He didn't mention that at all. Basically, it just sounded like, hey, my body's been telling me over the last 6 months that I need to take it easy at some point. And, you got to do what your body tells you to do.
My body tells me that every day, and so I do. I take it easy every day.
Yeah. My body's like, right. No, I don't want to get up out of bed to go to work, man. I still go up to work.
To work. Obviously, it's summer. I'm not, but hey. All right, Taylor Twellman. While all of you waste your time about the talent discussion in the Gold Cup roster, this group won a Gold Cup a year before the World Cup with Berhalter at the helm of 2021. The fact that we are still doing this is gross, and it's the definition of apathy. In the fan base, player pool, coaches, and federation, zero buzz around anything, and we are hosting the World Cup in 1 year. Well, he's not wrong. There is certainly zero buzz. There is a lot of apathy and anger and a lot of disappointment. Now, people who are going into massive depression about this need to refocus. This can't be so big, such a big chunk of your life that it sends you into an angry, Listen, do I go on rants here? Yes, but I sleep at night great. I do not carry any of this around.
Because you've exuded all your energy during the show, Derek.
Even if I didn't, I'd just say fuck it. I'd say fuck it and go to bed.
Well, no, that's the thing. I love this sport. I've been playing it ever since I was 4. Following
me too.
For decades. And I want the USA to dominate, to go out there and dominate. I would love to piss off the world as USA hold multiple World Cup titles, and we just conquer the world. I'd love it. Saying that, we're not there by any means. We have talented players who are not performing, and it sucks. And we'll sit here and rant for 2-3 hours. But like you said, after the show's over, I go upstairs, throw on some YouTube, just watch a bit of gaming or entertainment culture here.
Go to bed.
Go right to bed.
Yeah.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Absolutely. I think you can't.
I don't go upstairs and kick a kitten or.
Yeah.
You can't pour bleach in my neighbor's yard.
You can't start making it personal for you. Remember, this is a passion of yours. That's a hobby, in essence, right? This is something you're passionate about, and it's a hobby that you do on the side, but your real passion's with your family and your friends, and that's where you need to put most of your emotional energy. And rant, get it out of your system, and then sleep well at night. That's all I would say. I heard that we are suffering from dartitis. Could be, my brother. Don't know for sure, but something's not right. Anyhow, this is the lineup. Now, keep in mind, this is it's not a bad lineup for the time. Sands just went and played in Europe. Cannon played in Europe. Robinson.
How's it possible that Bello looks older in this photo than he does now?
I don't know. Bad photo.
Oh, my God. He looks like he's about to say, I'm too old for this shit. Seriously. Oh, my God. He looks like he's ancient in this photo.
Bello was playing overseas at the time, I believe.
Yeah.
Eventually ended up at Lask after that. He didn't play very much.
I think he may have moved after this Gold Cup.
Okay. Williamson, great player, who's gone through some serious injuries.
Fucking fortunate injuries, man. I had high hopes for that kid.
Yep, but the injuries have cost him.
Speaking of high hopes.
Yeah, Acosta was a vet. Leggett was a vet of the national team. Areola was a vet. Zardes was a veteran of the national team at the time. So these weren't great players, but these are players that were familiar with playing with the national team for some time. So it wasn't like we're putting out Arson or a bunch of young guys that this is their first cap or their fourth cap or their third cap. No, all these guys have been capped multiple times, except for Williamson because of injuries. Hoppy, he was sort of new to this, right, at the time.
Yeah, but he's a firecracker of that
tournament. He was on a high at that point. So obviously not on a high anymore, but was super confident, had all the confidence in the world. So I don't know. That's kind of like comparing apples to oranges in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, this is the pure MLS based squad right here, minus Hoppy, of course. And they ended up winning. What this goes to show, and the squad itself, like I'm looking at the squad, people are like, "Oh, we're going to get grouped," and it's possible. Anything's possible. I mean, I doubt it, but it's possible.
It's possible.
But
yep.
I mean, once you get out of the group stage, I hate to coin the phrase from Berhalter. Anything can happen after the group stage.
Sure.
And this squad, don't forget that this squad went 90 minutes with a 1-0 scoreline against Canada because we scored in the 46th second.
Yeah.
We went 90 minutes of having our taints handed to us just to move on to play Qatar, who we didn't really outperform. We beat them once again, 1-0.
0, yes.
So, I mean, it's great. Tolman brings up a great point. You know, with another quote-unquote lesser squad, we won the Gold Cup, and we can do it again, true. But that's taking the context out of the groups, out of this the history of this Gold Cup. It wasn't just like we went out there and dominated everybody.
Well, again, it's to me mostly a group of guys who were familiar with the national team already, whereas that's not the case this time around. How many times has Paxton Aronson played for the national team? How many times has Arson played? How many times has Ariel played? Not much, right? It's not much. Most of these guys on this roster have been there, done that, even though they were B team guys.
Yeah.
But the point I guess you're saying is you can still win with a B team, a B/C team. You can win with. Yeah, you can.
Well,
if you know what the fuck you were doing as a coach, yes, you can.
So people are going at this, looking at this Gold Cup, going, we're cooked, we're toast, we're gonna lose it all. And I don't know, you throw out our A squad of this C squad team, and I think there's opportunities for magic to happen. I mean, you got Tillman, you got Luna who can open up defenses. We still got to find a striker out there.
Yeah, well, you got to the big butt, right?
And then we got to find the defenders who can defend. We got Richards, and I wonder who's going to play next to Richards. It's going to be, Robinson.
Might be
McKenzie. He had a bad game.
Rough.
It could be Ream.
Could be. No, I think they're going to go with 3 in the back from here on out. I don't think
it would be. If he learned anything, these friendlies, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. So it'll be 3 center backs. Just who are the 3? Because 2 certainly is not working with this group of people, these group of players.
Yeah. Well, there's an idea. Realistically, you have to start Hadji at striker.
Apparently, that notion has not hit Poach's head yet.
Well, he plays left winger for his team, therefore.
Except if you watch the end of the season, he started almost all the games as the center forward. So,
weren't his fans bitching about his performance at the end of the season?
Yes, he wasn't as good as a center forward. Yes.
For the last year and a half prior to that point, he's been playing out left.
Yeah.
But
you could try it. You could try it. Aguiman ain't going to give you that much.
I would have liked to have seen more of Downs in the 10 minutes he got shuffled out there, but It is what it is.
He's an eager beaver. He's an eager beaver. Downs is an eager beaver. He came back. He was like, give me the ball. I'm coming all the way back to midfield to get this fucker. Right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we have, there are games, I think, where even Agumon can have moments to shine. I mean, hell, he had an opportunity against Switzerland. I think it was Switzerland where Luna came in, did a slide tackle. The ball went to him outside the key, and he popped a shot from outside. It went right to the goalkeeper. But, I mean, the thought was there.
Yeah. All right, for the 294 of you here now, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with Grandma, and give your stepsister a gentle touch on her Twizzler. All right.
Weird. So Doug McIntyre put out his not only starting 11, but his actual World Cup roster he's going to go with. I just want to pull the starting 11 first, and then we can go through the article and just take a look at who he picked overall.
Yeah.
And, we can probably read that.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, here we go. Matt Turner, Dest, Richards, Robinson.
I mean, the Robinson thing, that's still up for grabs, I think. Yeah, and I don't think we're playing a back four. So that is already going to be wrong. I mean, that's not at all.
What we'll do is we'll look at the 11 and we'll say who we're going to take out to put another center back in. Because I think Serginho are going to play the wing back roles, guaranteed if they're healthy.
Yeah. I mean, it could end up being Chris Richards, Tim Ream, and whomever else you pick, right? In the back three. But I agree with Robinson and Dest. That's chalk. That's chalk. Tyler Adams is chalk. Weston McKennie's chalk. Tim Weah's chalk. Pulisic's chalk. Pepe's not chalk. Could be Balogun. Diego Luna, I mean, if he keeps playing the way he is, putting the effort in.
If we play a 4-3-3, I'm fine with the lineup. But if we go with the 3-back, somebody's got to get dropped. It's definitely not going to be Adams.
Yeah, I know.
I can't imagine Weston getting dropped for Luna. But if you have an Adams and McKinney holding pair, I guess the idea there were Dest and Robinson are really going to be adding your width and your creative force moving forward.
If you add an extra center back, Luna's out of this lineup. I would guess if I'm.
Or do you go dual 10s with Pulisic and Luna, and then Weah get dropped?
I don't see Weah being dropped.
I mean, I don't see it, but I mean, anything's possible to poach.
I'm just trying to guess, but I'm trying to put on my poach hat. I just don't see that happening. But you know what?
Our poach hat is so worn and destroyed.
Oh, our poach hat doesn't fit because I mean we're farting in the wind here. Who knows what this guy's going to do next? He just told.
Who would have predicted that starting lineup against Switzerland?
No, nobody. And, he just told essentially 5 or 6 players, I don't want you to play the 2 friendlies. Go fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you can play all the games and the Gold Cup, I don't want you here. That includes McKennie and Weah, who at no fault of their own have to play a Club World Cup, and Reina. Told them all to go fuck off.
Untouchable says Tillman and McKenzie over Luna and Miles. And it's a good lineup. So basically, you have a center back of choice, and then your attacking midfielder of choice.
Yeah, I just hope McKenzie.
The question is what Tillman you have is a big question. We know what we get. We know what we get. Diego puts his ass on the line every game.
Tillman has been pretty damn good so far.
I agree.
In the last 2 games, and it depends what McKenzie you get too. Hopefully, not the one who got dribbled at the top of the box for a goal. Easily dribbled, not close. Easily dribbled. So,
no bueno. Okay, scoot in here.
I don't think we needed to go through all this, do we?
I haven't looked at it, so I have no idea. We'll go through it quickly here. Turner, Stefan, Schulte.
Fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked what I've seen of Freeze. I want to see him in the Gold Cup to really get more of an understanding of him. But
I
wouldn't be surprised.
It's just Doug guessing. He doesn't know health-wise. He doesn't know performance-wise where guys are going to be a year from now. He's just guessing. So, as far as me looking at his guesses, I'm like, fine. You're guessing fine. Backups, Freeman,
backups, yeah.
McKenzie, I don't think he's going to be a backup. Scally, yeah, okay. No, he means guys that make the team, but that are backups. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Tim
Yeah,
Reed,
yeah.
Walker. The guys missing out: Arson, Vickers, Tolkien, and Trusty.
So
I mean,
just looking
yeah.
at the backups because those are the key ones we're going to worry about. So Freeman as a backup,
But Tolkien not.
Tolkien's not there. Scally would be another right back / center back option.
Yeah, you got to take Tolkien. You got too many right backs.
You'd have to take Freeman out, put Scally in there, and then put Tolkien in as a left back option.
I mean, being sensible, that doesn't mean that Poach is going to be sensible. I have no clue.
Well,
and by the way, Freeman's the flavor of the week, along with Luna.
Yeah. So that's well, I think Luna at least has a little more track record at this point. But
yes,
Freeman, we went weeks hearing the praise of Freeman, and he got his opportunity, and oh God, it's so lacking that I was like, I expected more because I hadn't watched him play.
He wouldn't let loose.
Yeah, so maybe that's the case. Maybe it was first game jitters. Maybe he was told to hang back because in the second half he did get up a little bit more when we went to 3 center back, obviously.
Yep, right.
Maybe that's the case. Maybe I need to see him in his natural role of freedom.
Yeah, first half he was told to play basically statically in a back three as the Arson charged forward the whole first half. He barely crossed the halfway line. He certainly didn't get up the field until the second half.
Did we go to a back three against Turkey? Because that's when Freeman played, right?
Yeah, it was a back four, but essentially a back three because he played the Scally role.
We needed to get goals, so that's why he got pushed up a little more. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. We threw threw it to the wind basically in the second half, trying to get that goal. Oh, yeah.
Yep. All right. Holding midfielders from Tyler and McKinney. We have Johnny Cardoso, Yunus Musa, and Tanner Tessman. All could be named.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds right.
Yeah. I mean, hard to argue without seeing the rest of whoever else is being left out and saying, well, wait a second, maybe we don't need 5 holding midfielders. Maybe we bring in 4 and we bring in another attacking midfielder, another winger or something like that.
I mean, does Poach even think Musa is a midfielder? Doesn't play him there.
Hasn't played him there, yeah. But then again, he's played him out wide and he's sucked donkey dick there.
Mm-hmm.
Attacking midfielders, Diego Luna and Gio Reyna. Not even a Tillman. Tillman must be a winger.
Yes, but he's not. Not for Poach so far. He's not been a winger.
Yeah, there we go. Brennan Aronson, Tillman, and Haji Wright. Paxton, Downs, and Sullivan all get left.
All right. Fine, I guess.
Ricardo Pepe, Flo, and Patrick. Come on. I mean,
no way.
Is Doug sitting here going like, well, Poach is actually sitting here calling in Patrick over and over and over again. So maybe he really likes him some Patrick.
That's probably what he's thinking.
He might. I feel like this is Doug's attempt to really try to predict what Poach wants to do.
I agree, and I think he just doesn't like Josh Sargent for whatever reason. And other people
not Doug, but Poach.
Yeah, other people don't like Josh either. So,
well, I feel like those people who don't like Josh are probably going to take him over Patrick at this point.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd be surprised if there's many people out there that are like, no, we want Agumon. We want Agumon.
Spiders Lawton says Derek has no interest. Laughing out loud. Yeah, I really don't have any interest in what Doug McIntyre thinks about this starting 11. You're correct. I don't have any fucking interest in what he thinks. I don't. He knows no more than you guys do. No more. Honestly. He knows nothing. No more than us. Well, he's not any more inside of Poach's head than anybody else's right now. Nobody fucking knows. It's a mystery. So reading this,
we would have done anyway. So
this might as well be John Q. Public's list, honestly, because it's no more informed than anybody else.
I'll hand it to Doug though, because in my opinion, I said this looks like what Doug thinks Poach is doing. At least he's attempting to dive into the depths of Poach.
I get that. It's a little early to make these predictions a year out, but okay.
Fuck, dude, people are making predictions 4 years out. Here's who I predict's going to be at the World Cup 4 years from now. And here's insert random young players that are promising that don't ever pan out.
How about this, Doug? Since you have your ear to the ground and you have connections and the ability to interview people, how about write an article about what the fuck is going on with Nathaniel Brown? How about write an article about why all of a sudden Aguiman and White are that much better than Sargent? Or why Scally wasn't called up? Or why it took 2 injuries for Paxton Aronson and John Tolkien to get called up? Or why Wiley didn't get a phone call? Well, Zendejas hasn't got a phone call. How about that? How about Yao not getting a phone call? How about Aiden Morris not getting a phone call? Or Bucio getting a phone call? Or Tessman? They just told to go fuck off. You tell me. That's the article I want to read. I want some inside info. How about doing some research on that? You doing what every jackass in the world does, including the 2 jackasses on this show, of making up your predictive roster for. We don't need you for that. You're supposed to be a reporter, not a guesser. We want you to look into things and start reporting some shit. That's what I need from reporters. Here's a report from Tom. Don't bogart that joint, my friend.
I want to capitalize on your little rant towards Doug there. Doug, he's not calling you a dumbass. What he's saying is he's saying that you're doing what the dumbasses do, and that's us.
I called us.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. The dumbasses do is sit there and try to pick his brain and decipher what we think is going to happen.
Don't lower yourself.
What you're saying, yeah. Don't be an us. Be above us. Be the person that you want, or be the person that we need to pull up and analyze what you've reported.
Do I wish sometimes I still had a press pass? Absolutely wish I did. So all the information I get now is underground. I'm not allowed to say who people are anymore.
Derek meets in a dark parking garage, hands over a manila envelope to some dude in a trench coat. And it's usually dick pics, but sometimes it's rumors.
Remember when they still liked us at Big Soccer? Remember that back in the day?
Do they not like us at Big Soccer anymore?
No. I'm saying when we were at Big Soccer, like US Soccer was pretty okay with that, what we were doing then.
And we were rather chill. That was the problem.
Right. Well, we were just bringing on US Soccer legends to talk about US Soccer, which was boring. By the way, it was boring as fuck. I'm telling you, it was boring, but we did it.
Dude, I posted a clip when we interviewed Tony talking about the concept of like the DA academies at the time, requiring their players not to participate in high school sports, or they're playing 10, 11 months out of the year. And Tony was like, hated that concept because, you know, he grew up in a time period where people played multiple sports and, you know, the type of movement and agility you get from playing basketball compared to playing soccer is going to be different, but it's going to prepare you for doing this.
Hand-eye, baseball,
exactly. So I was like, hey, I think this is kind of an interesting topic. Just something that you don't hear on many soccer shows at this point, discussions.
Right.
So I clipped that segment because you had reposted it, the whole interview.
Right.
And I took that little 2-minute segment and I posted it as a video when we got a whopping like 200 views on it. And I was like, man, people just want to come here and listen to Derek rant and us say fuck 500 times.
Yeah. I mean, listen, were some of those interviews kind of revealing? Absolutely. The ones with Conrad back then on
formations
on Tiny Feet. And
that too, yeah.
Yeah. And then John O'Brien, like getting to really hear all the details about all his injuries and how that crippled him. There was good stuff in there. I'm not saying there wasn't, that they were boring. It's just our show was a different show. It was factual and clean and all that. And so we could get anybody we wanted on that show. Grant Wall, everybody was like, hey, yeah, I'll go on your show. Everybody wanted to go on the show. Now, you know, people are kind of like, whoa, boy, you know, What's going to happen if I go on that show?
There weren't really many like podcasty type shows at that point.
No,
we were on the biggest soccer board, in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it did carry a little bit of weight there. We're
That's
the same
true.
people with a little more dirty vocabulary now, but could we reach out to people and say, "Hey, you want to be on the show?" Some of them would say, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
I don't think nobody said no yet, except for Jared from Best Soccer Show.
No, okay.
And he originally said yes, and then he's like, "Oh my god, 2 hours?"
2 hours.
He's like, "I got like 30 minutes of content. I can't do any more than that."
Dude,
I'm like,
we're an hour and 20 minutes in, and we're not even on the main topic yet.
I know.
Tom Bogert says U.S. men's national team legend Michael Bradley is named to coach the New York Red Bulls 2. And I was confused by, hey, it's a coaching gig. He's going to work his way up into an MLS coach, and then who knows from there. But beside the point, I thought he was joining up with Jesse Marsh in Canada
for a week.
But yes, I've been made aware that for the Canadian Shield, whatever. What the hell is even this? But
I mean,
it's a cup they just created apparently.
Michael Bradley's well thought of in Canada because of his time at Toronto. So I think it was just sort of a roll by assessment where he got to kind of watch what Jesse was doing and work with the team. But I don't think it was like an official job or anything.
No. Clearly, it was only for a week.
Right. So that's just cold learning. Not that Michael Bradley needs to learn anything. He knows he's already pretty much a genius in soccer. So I'm just kidding. I'm busting his balls a little there. But I mean, how many guys behind the scenes have told us that Michael Bradley's a know-it-all?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Like, yeah. He already knew. He knew. No, you need to tell me. I already knew the answer. All right.
Speaking of Canadian national team, Jess Marsh decided to chime in on the whole.
Why did he do this? Why did he need
burning all our bridges? Apparently,
Jesse Marsh wants everyone to know that every single Canadian men's national team star wanted to be a Gold Cup. Not one guy called me and said, "Coach, it's been a long year. Maybe I don't come." Not even close to that conversation. He says, "Why are you getting involved?" Unless he's answering a question posed by the media. I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, heard the Americans having all these issues with their big stars not showing up. Did you have any issues with that?"
Yeah.
And then, you're going to say, "No, nobody had an issue." Everybody said yes.
I mean, I would like to imagine that it wasn't the announcer or the reporter going, "Hey, you've been in Canada for a while. What's your thoughts on poutine?" And he's like, no one on my team decided to say they didn't want to come to the Gold Cup.
Can this also be a little bitterness from Jesse, as all of the word on the street is that, and we thought at the time he was certainly going to get signed. They had everything but his signature on the paper, and they called a bunch of the former players or current players. Maybe one of them was CP. I don't know. And they said, I don't like Jesse Marsh. Adams said, I mean, has Adams ever said a good word about Jesse Marsh in public? No. Has McKenny? No. Has Pulisic? I mean, no reason. He never played for Jesse Marsh, really. So, but maybe this is his way to.
Hard to say that Weston's played under Marsh also. He played for one fucking match before he got shit canned.
True. But it just doesn't seem his reputation amongst the U.S. men's national team players is very high, is all I would say. And we've been told that, and I don't know how much to believe that, right?
Well, from what I recall, and I've had a couple bevs since then, but it seems to me, and this is what other pundits have chimed in and said, but basically that U.S. Soccer always had the intention of rehiring Greg.
But they treated Jesse dirty.
Yeah.
Jesse said he was treated dirty.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, then there was the rumor that it came down that they were going to hire Jesse, and then the players chimed in. But from what all the other pundits said, basically,
was it a rumor or is it something someone told us on our post-game show, which is what happened? This was told to us after our show was over, after a guest was here, the guest stayed. He told us this. How much of that we were told is true, but if it is true, what we were told is the players didn't want Jesse. They were contacted last second after U.S. Soccer practically told Jesse he had the job. The players didn't like Jesse and didn't want Jesse. They wanted Greg. So they went back to Greg. That's what's told. That's what we were told. So I don't really know. I don't know if it's true or not. The person telling us that, I don't know, generally like reliable. Not all the time.
You think so? Yeah. No. Well, I mean, not everybody gets everything right. But yeah, I mean, it depends on who you're listening to and who has the inside ear. I mean, I think even Winalda had a segment where he talked about how Jesse thought the job was his, and US, pulled the carpet from underneath them.
Yes.
Making it sound like, that they decided they wanted Greg in the end. Maybe that was because the players decided, hey, no, we want Greg back.
Yeah, well,
Eric, that's the funniest thing about it too. I guess they pulled it back because they felt comfortable with them. It's a nice, calm, relaxed environment. They get to go to the fucking zoo. But
Gettysburg.
Once Berhalter's out, everybody's like, oh man, I was getting too lax with Berhalter, man. We needed to change the culture. We need somebody to kick us on our ass.
Because we're playing so much golf and we're having all these dinners with our friends and shit, and we're going to the fucking zoo. It got too relaxed. We need a guy like Poach. Okay, well, you got him. You got him. Ain't working real well, but
all that fucking interaction was leading into Greg being rehired, Greg being fired again. Not fired again. Fired for the first time, I guess. Because technically his contract didn't.
Right.
So Greg being rehired, Greg being fired, and Poach being brought in is this is why we don't do player interviews. What is the fucking point? They don't say anything they don't say anything real unless you happen to catch them off guard.
And that even goes for ex-players. So unless you're talking about ex-players like Winalda will talk and say anything. Wallace will, he'll argue with you. So having those guys on is worth it. But having ex-players on that aren't going to tell you the truth and are super cautious about what they say, I don't want those guys on my show. So, like I said, everybody we've asked to come on the show has been on the show since we've come back.
Well,
except for Jared. That's it.
But then that's also the issue with these interviews, because even you go on to talking to Seven Herc talking to Nelson Rodriguez about the U.S. Open Cup. There wasn't a lot of super duper pushback in the upcoming interview we're going to be watching with Pulisic. Nothing against Jimmy and his crew and everything like that. They probably asked the questions that they could, and not necessarily push back on certain things.
Yeah.
I think there was even a time where Jimmy was like, hey, I want to readdress this talking point. And Pulisic was like, I think I've already talked about that already enough.
Yeah, but he did it again anyhow. So
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, having the players on, you're almost never going to, unless you're talking when they talked about his favorite movie being Step Brothers, when they talked about how do you relax, what's your social, who are your social committee that you go and talk to
who cares?
That's the time when you started seeing him really kind of smile and really kind of letting loose. But man, all the other questions, it was like very PR related, and that's with everybody. So when people are like, hey, why don't you have so and so on? We're like, what's the fucking point?
Right.
They're not going to like our questions.
Speaking of which, you really do need to. The thing about bringing Herc on is everybody's had Herc on at this point. We all know what he's going to say. I don't really think there's a point of having Herc on. I don't think we would know.
I wouldn't mind having Herc on.
I wouldn't mind it unless he's holding a grudge against our commentary, our criticism of his interview with U.S. Soccer.
Dude, that's good. That wasn't U.S. Soccer. It was his criticism against MLS.
MLS. Oh yeah, the MLS guy. Yeah.
That would be the one of the first talking points with either him or Seb. just like, hey, why wasn't there any fucking pushback against Nelson Rodriguez? Were you told not to have pushback? Did you have to pass along the questions you're going to ask so that they can approve it? What's happening here? Because week prior to this interview,
you were hammering them,
balls, busting Don's balls, telling U.S. Soccer they need to grow a set, and start shit canning some of these MLS teams out of U.S. Open Cup and D1 status.
And then Nelson Rodriguez, Nelson Rodriguez comes on and you pussyfoot around. I don't get it. Anyhow, this was good.
Yeah, so I somebody brought to my attention. Hey, I think Colin brought it to my attention. Hey, there's some shorts for an upcoming Unfiltered podcast you need to listen to. I'm like, all right, cool. I go listen to it. I listened to this one from Timmy, and after listening to that one from Timmy, I even made a post about it. Quote tweeted and said, "Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to walk back the whole Mark Pulisic helicopter parent, not being a helicopter parent comment I made, because it sounds like he's being a fucking helicopter parent."
That's what I was telling you last show. He is. And, he does control a lot of what interviews Pulisic will do, which is why when Pulisic in the past has done those interviews, that was that dude with that Irish guy that interviews. That's a hand-picked dude by Mark. Yeah, that's totally
this, right?
Totally hand-picked by Mark. Like, all right, let's stop having your dad set up your interviews for you, okay? And let's stop having him defend you on fucking Twitter. Enough's enough. You're a grown 26-year-old man. All right? If you don't want to do an interview with Timmy or Landon, just tell him personally. Don't need Mark to do this. And the next time you ask for an interview, you'll just be told no, just like last time you asked for an interview. That was just a cheap shot bullshit thing to say. It's totally unnecessary, and it causes more drama instead of dissipating the drama.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said in the previous show, assuming it was just a one-off, because I hadn't really heard anything from Mark on the social medias, but I don't follow him on Instagram, so I have no fucking clue what he said and what he doesn't say. If it was just a one-time clapback, I have no problem. But
sounds more personal.
From what Timmy, well, yeah, there's definitely, and I'm going to get into the personal thing. I want to play the clip first before I start going into my hypothetical why Pulisic took offense.
Yeah.
More so than probably other pundits who've said things about him. So let me play that real quick.
We have to address Christian Pulisic's father, Mark Pulisic. We now know.
Also, something that that Jimmy and the show did not address.
No. And they did it.
Back to the chat going, ask him about his dad on Instagram. Ask him about his dad on Instagram.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that to him. They weren't. That was planned. They knew not to. They knew not to ask that.
Yeah, they were probably told not to. Yeah. They
probably were by Pulisic or Mark. Somebody stood up and said, "Hey, let's lay off that. Let's not get into the family shit." Yeah.
After this week, that he is a spokesman for the Pulisic squad. My issue, and this we talk about good cop and bad cop, right? You're an easy target because he mentioned, and let me not misquote him. This guy, because he tagged you, talking about commitment. Look in the mirror, something else, which I won't say, and call names out. Or are you afraid the next time you want an interview, you'll get rejected? Here's what's happened. So it's important that we put the story straight.
Okay, as I'm about to make this comment, he's actually doing what I was going to suggest doing. I'm like, hey, how about we pull that microphone off your lips, buddy?
Yeah, it's a little close. It's all right.
But, yeah.
I can still understand him.
Get some, if you don't need the headphone, he's literally sitting right next to you. Just have some shotgun microphones pointing towards your face, or maybe just get something on your collar.
Producer,
are they gonna go gaming after this, playing some Fortnite or something?
Producer probably told him to pull the mic away from his mouth. Yeah, more than likely.
All right, let's hear what the story is.
Yeah,
that's right.
Let's do it.
Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie have all been asked to come on our show. They refuse. I mentioned something about Christian Pulisic in the media. He responded to me on direct message on Instagram. He sent me a note. He said, I thought you were out of order. I didn't like what you said. I responded, you may or may not have a point. Give me a call. Here's my...
So Timmy says one thing about Pulisic in the media, and Pulisic comes back, chimes in to him and says, hey, bro, I didn't like that. I think you're out of order. And
out of order about what? Which is what he's saying. I don't even know what I was out of order about. So I maybe, and I may not be, but now I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Is what Timmy's saying.
Well, at the time, he knew exactly what he was talking about.
I don't think so.
Let's make a scenario. Timmy comes on and says, "Oh, I think Pulisic's playing like shit at Chelsea, and he needs to go find a smaller side to go play for." And then Pulisic comes back and says, "Bro, I didn't like what you said." He goes, "You might have a point. Let's talk about it. Give me a call."
No, I do think he doesn't understand what part of the criticism Pulisic doesn't like. Because he said many things.
Fine. Then he knows what they said. That he said one thing. So he mentions a very specific point of criticism that was in the past.
So, but it's so general that I'm just telling you, I don't think that's why Timmy's like, you might be right. I might be wrong. But give me a call. Let's talk it out. What part of what I said do you not like is basically what he's saying.
Well, no, that's fine. But what you're saying is that Timmy doesn't know what he's being.
Well, he knows generally, but
he knows what the criticism was, and he's like, "Hey, you make your argument.
He's
I'll
saying,
make my argument."
What specifically did I say that was out of line? He doesn't even know at this point. That's why he said, "I don't know." You might be right. Maybe I was out of line. Maybe I wasn't. But until I know specifically what I said that is out of line, give me a call so we can talk about it and we'll work it out. That's what he's asked. That's all he asked for. Okay. I'm just telling you.
I agree. He's saying that, hey, let's find out your point. Let's hash this out. But I think I'm positive he knows exactly what the criticism was. Maybe there was multiple parts of the criticism. Maybe it was just one part that Pulisic was offended by. I don't know. And I really don't give a fuck. My whole point of bringing this point up right here is why was a bunch of pundits and stuff say things about Pulisic. Do you think Pulisic is up in everybody's DMs saying, "Bro, I don't like what you're saying"?
No, but these are two, as Pulisic said today, legends of USMNT soccer.
Don't forget, Howard was the goalkeeper all during Pulisic's first cycle as
former teammate.
Former teammate. He probably thought, "Hey, dude, we're pretty cool. I thought we hung out at many hotels, got many dinners. Why are you saying this shit about me?"
That'd be like, I get this message out of nowhere from Pete. And he said, "I heard you guys criticize me on your show." And I thought it was out of order. And I'm like, "Well, what did we say?" Exactly. We criticize you all the time. Okay. Like, I'd be like, "Yeah, we critique some of the things you say. We disagree with them. We still like you. We still respect you. We don't call you a dumbass. We don't call you names or anything like that. So what exactly did I say that you thought was out of order?" That's kind of what this is. I'm just telling you, that's what this is. He knows he criticized Pulisic, but he doesn't know exactly what he said that was out of order. Like, because I think everything he's ever said about Pulisic's been pretty fair, frankly. I don't think it's been out of order at all. And that's why he's like, "I don't get it. What did I say that was out of order?" And then he doesn't get any reply. That's bullshit.
Well, I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly what Timmy said about Pulisic throughout his entire career or anything like that. I don't follow Timmy that closely. And I haven't really been a super big fan of his punditry anyways. A lot of his takes are at best.
I agree, and it's not really about that. It's just about, hey, if you're going to say that, and then I text you back and say, "Hey, give me a call because I'm not sure. Yeah, let's talk about it. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you're right." And then you get no call, and you get no DM, and you've played with the guy, been his teammate. Obviously, you've known him. And then, you've had multiple rejections after this for interviews. Be nice to know what you said that was so offensive. But go ahead and finish it, Brad. I'm just trying to provide context here.
I'm just saying when that DM came, I'm sure Timmy knew exactly what he said.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, okay.
No, he does not. If he knew that, he wouldn't say, "Well, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong." If you knew that, again, if I criticize Pete, it's the same situation. What exactly did I say that pissed you off? What words?
Saying that you might have a point, you might be right, I might be wrong, doesn't necessarily specify that he has no idea what he fucking said.
Oh, he might know the general topic. That's it.
I gave a scenario, and then of course this is not something I'm sure Timmy said ever, and it's just me making a scenario saying, "Hey, he's playing like shit at Chelsea. He needs to drop down a level."
He never said that.
I know that. I literally just said that, Derek.
But my point to you is,
I made up an entire scenario, and you're like, "Oh, he didn't say that." Of course, he didn't say. I just said he made a scenario.
You're making up a scenario that never happened that Timmy would never say.
Oh
Timmy's
my fucking
never.
God, Derek.
Timmy has never said anything offensive about Pulisic.
You're being way too fucking literal about this. Seriously, listen to my point. Listen to my point.
I'll have to.
I made it, but no, you don't.
Yes,
because I don't know what he said. I don't know. I don't know what he said. You don't know what he said.
Exactly.
He knows what he said, and I'm making up a scenario just to make a point. My point being is he says he's playing like shit at Chelsea. He needs to go to a lower team. He comes up and says, "Dude, I think I'm offended by what you said." And he's saying, "Well, come at me. Tell me why you think I'm wrong. Maybe you have a point. Maybe you don't belong at a lower team."
Again, there's something specific that Timmy said that angered the Pulisics. Something very specific. Timmy doesn't actually know beyond a general idea what that was. What part? Because plenty of listen, he just went on a show, Jimmy's show, where Davies has been very critical in the past of things that Pulisic's done. So has Tony.
Sure.
He just went on there, no problem. So what specifically did I say that pissed you off? That's what he wants to know. Not generally, specifically, what did I say that pissed you off? That's what he's saying here. And he never got a response.
It's not like it was a year of criticism that went through, and then all of a sudden, Pulisic's like, "I don't like what you said." And he's like, "Dude, what the fuck did I say? I said a lot of shit." It would have been a broadcast that came out. He got a DM literally that day, and he's like, "Let's talk about it."
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. You can move on. Just move on. I don't know what we're even arguing about now.
What we're arguing about is you have this tendency where you just shuffle off my opinion about something when you're like, don't know anything different. That's the point.
No, I interpret it different than you do, and it's perfectly fine that I do.
When you
perfectly fine.
But then every time I start my interpretation, you're like, nope, you're wrong. Nope, you're wrong. So that's why it gets into not a heated debate. We're not really pissed off at each other, but it sounds like we're yelling at each other. Yeah. I'm just trying to make my point and saying that, and I can't believe this actually went on for as long as it did, for a fucking minute. But we were doing this rant longer than they've been discussing this point. Beside the point. And quite frankly, we're both on the same page, but we just have a difference of opinions as far as what Timmy knows at that point. That we have no fucking clue what Timmy knows and doesn't know at that point either.
All right, that's cool.
Here, I got Anthony on my side. Fuck off, Derek.
I'm just telling you what I think. All right, that's what I do here.
My number, let's discuss it. If we disagree, we disagree. Here's my number. So for his dad to come out and attack you and basically say, you're not getting an interview because we're not getting an interview from Christian Pulisic, not because of you, but because of me. And so,
real quick though, I did want to add one last thing that we're not going to bicker about. You said Pulisic went on to the interview with Jimmy, Davies, and Tony, who've all been critical, and I thought about that too, because I was like, well, they've been critical, saying that he's not there, and that's one of the talking points he makes. But the big difference I think here is he's familiar with Howard because they literally went through a fucking cycle together. Or part of a cycle, at least.
Can you imagine being so fucking overly sensitive that if a former teammate makes what are pretty nonchalant but not super critical commentary about your play or where you're at, that you'd be like, fuck you, you're never getting an interview again? I'd be like, no, dude, I know you. Let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk it. Like, I would never do that to somebody that was a former teammate or somebody I used to look up to a lot and played multiple games with. I just go, hey, man, here's what I didn't like. Here's what we're going to disagree with on. I'll come on your show even. We'll talk about it. Yeah. Instead, it's a ban, an outright ban. I mean, it's just so super tender fiddles.
So, I mean, this show has really only been on for what, like a couple months.
Mhm.
So when it's like the talking point here, where Mark's like, if you think you're ever going to get another interview, you're not going to get another interview, or you're not going to get an interview. They've asked him once within the last couple of months. The issue I think that he's referring to in this story about getting the DM by Instagram would have most likely, I'm assuming, have been prior to this show even. So during that whole time period, Pulisic's like not holding. I mean, he's still holding a grudge, I would say. And then Timmy goes out and says, "Hey, Christian, you want to come on the show?" And he's like, "No."
And we're not even big fans of Tim Howard's commentary, frankly. I mean, it's not like some of his takes have been horrible. And so have Landon Donovan's. I still go on their shows. Even if they call me an idiot, I go on the show. But that is not all right. What Donovan accused Pulisic of, a lot more personal than whatever criticism Howard's ever made of Pulisic. I'm sorry. It's all been gentle. Very gentle. I'm sorry. It just has. All right.
Let's finish this last segment because I want to bring up one thing he's going to say here.
So again, I'm comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. If Mark Pulisic wants to text me, it's a New York number. His son has it in his direct messages. He can text me. We have
to.
So yeah, I'm not sure why. But Mark. Mark wants to talk. But why would Mark want to talk? I mean, what's the point? What's that going to benefit him in the end? It's not going to do anything, and it's not really going to benefit Timmy unless they kind of hash things out and say, "Hey, I'm a public figure now. I'm speaking my mind. It's nothing personal against him. Maybe he had a bad spell of this or whatever, but maybe they could hash things out." But the thing he brought up there, he talked about how they invited West and they invited Pulisic, and that they both said no, and they're never going to be coming. They're never.
Well, you know why Weston said no, right?
Oh, because of his partner to his left.
Right. Yeah, because of what Pulisic said about Weston during what Donovan said about McKinney during Hotel Gate in Nashville. Yeah.
Yeah. It's unforgivable, and he should never be on the national team ever again.
When they gangbanged Pulisic's sister.
Allegedly.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's see if we get heated about this one, Derek. There's you and me yelling at each other, and then 10 seconds later we're laughing because who the fuck cares?
It's like a bar side argument, that you might have with somebody. It's great with an old friend about the Yankees Boston game.
Man.
All right, and then he responds. Yeah,
Let me get into first of all why I'm the right messenger.
Mm-hmm.
I also
stop it right there, Derek.
Loud as
why
fuck.
I'm the right messenger. Yeah, he's heated. Yeah, why I'm the right messenger. That if you go back to his comments he made during the Portugal game, it has nothing to do with what he's going to bring up here. I took a sabbatical and then I got left off. I know the consequences. Bullshit. That's not what you were saying.
Yeah, but then he goes on to talk about the fact that he was 32 years old. He wasn't 26.
True.
So,
I mean, we'll get into the fact that only Pulisic knows his body at that point. If he feels like he's getting worn down, worn to tear, and he wants to be fresh for the season and for World Cup later on, and it takes him to take a summer off, that's his prerogative. That's his decision to make.
If LD, and by the way, LD knows this better, but he's just not going to say it. He wasn't left off because of that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He wasn't. Everybody keeps saying it, but it's not true. And even he knows it. It was personal. So all the players were shocked when he was left off the team.
Yeah.
Including one coach who quit when he was left off. So.
Well, and I think it became personal because the sabbatical was the last straw for Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
So if he didn't take the sabbatical, or if he just showed up for the qualifiers or whatever, would that last straw have been broken?
I don't know. Here, I was thinking the other night about the conversation that Jurgen would have had with Jonathan Klinsmann at the breakfast table the morning.
Yeah.
He said, "Can you believe this? This guy? We've got 3 big World Cup qualifiers coming up, and this guy wants to go to Cambodia on a vacation."
He bet.
He says to me, "Oh, I'm heartbroken. and I'm depressed. I need. I said, what? What? You're the star of this team. What a pussy this guy is. What a fucking pussy. I mean, he's not going to step on any toes. He wants to go take a break, this pussy. That's the kind of conversation I imagine happened at the breakfast table with Jonathan.
You left off what Jonathan said after that. He goes, "Come on, Dad, doesn't he know that Germans don't have emotions?"
Yeah, Germans don't. A lot of them are cold-blooded, baby.
Heartbroken. Germans don't have emotions. What's this heartbroken word?
What is this heartbroken? I've never heard such a thing.
How could this heart be broken? It doesn't make any sense.
His wife cheated on him. Fuck her. Go fuck someone else. Get remarried.
Fuck her sister.
You're a fucking millionaire. What are you worried about? Go step on some toes, play some soccer, take your mind off your ex-wife. Go step on some toes, go play. Play with the U.S. men's national team.
When he was like, Jonathan, when he told me that his wife cheated on him and ended up getting divorced, I said, let's go to Azteca and fuck them up the ass.
Something like that. But he didn't understand it, right? Yeah. Just like he had to be explained to him why Pulisic wanted to go to prom. He's like, what's this prom? To his wife. What's this prom? What? What's this, a pussy move? Prom? And his wife's like, no, Jurgen, chill out. Calm down. It's a thing. It's like a rite. It's the rite of passage here in the United States. You got to let him go to prom. And then he did. Okay, I let him go then. But he has to show up first thing in the morning. Yeah. Okay, good. Fine. All right, yep. You can only imagine the talk at the breakfast table or dinner table about how big of a wanking pussy Landon Donovan was at the Klinsmann household. And thus, the post on Twitter when Donovan didn't make the team, ha, 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 by Jonathan Klinsmann. What a pussy. Yeah. All right.
All right, 4 seconds in. Let's go.
Took a break, like some of the players this. Yep. I know the consequences of that, and we're going to get into that in a minute.
Big word.
So I am the person probably more than anybody to speak about this. Okay. When I took my break from soccer, and I'm using that word intentionally, I didn't take a break from the national team. I didn't take a break from the Galaxy.
I do want to pause because this point he's going to get into takes me somewhere else completely. I just want to jump back to that whole messenger thing again. I mean, if you go back to what he said during the Portugal match, it was vehemently just if you're not gonna play for the U.S. when they're called in, you're not, just fuck right off. You're not patriotic. It's
pissing me off. He said,
yeah, it had nothing to do with, oh my God, this is crazy. Why would you turn it down? I mean, I know better than most people that if you ditch out on some U.S. men's national team games, year or two before the World Cup, man, you may get left off the World Cup roster.
No, I know, and that's so funny because there's no way Pulisic's being left off the fucking World Cup team. I don't care. He could get herpes, be caught in a gang rape. He'd probably still make the World Cup team.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go. Listen to the rest of his point here.
I didn't choose club over country or country over club. I took a break from soccer. And at the time, I didn't know if I was ever going to play again. Okay, I was 31, about to be 32. I'd played over 500 professional games, including over 140 for the national team, 5 Gold Cups, 3 World Cups. I'd had 15 straight seasons of no longer than 4 weeks of a break. Yep. Okay, I think I deserved to make that decision at that time. I was not in my early 20s or my mid 20s deciding not to play for my country. Okay.
So he doesn't say it in this clip, but he does go on to talk about when he's like, I took a break from soccer, and he emphasized that because he didn't just take a break from the national team or the club team, took it from all of it for those 4 months or whatever it was. He does talk about later how what's pissing him off about it all, and I've got another clip of him, is that this person, and it's not just Pulisic, but other people too, who take a break from the national team are also going in next week and playing for their club team.
Yes.
We saw that with Pulisic. I need a rest. And then he plays in the last game for Milan.
I'll be honest. I think I made a better argument for him on the last show than he's making. I honestly do. I think I made a better argument for his break than he's making for himself.
Yeah.
But All right,
Well,
whatever.
the one thing he specifies is being physically worn down. He doesn't talk the emotional aspect of it.
He doesn't really talk about the emotional part, but he does say, I didn't know if I was ever going to play soccer again, in the sense that he was
Not because he couldn't. Not because he couldn't.
Right.
But because he was a wreck.
Because he was he was in serious chronic depression mode. Yeah. And people that have told us this in the past know how bad it was. It was dark. Somebody else brought up on Tack Pete show, we never said he was suicidal, but it was a dark place. I don't think we ever used the word suicidal.
Generally speaking, no, because YouTube doesn't enjoy that word.
Yeah, I don't think I said anything like he was going to do that off himself or anything like that. But it was a serious, serious dark place he was in. And I just, he's not going to express that here. He's not going to go into those details. Just other people have told that to us. So Frank Castle from 199, y'all an old married couple. That was 20 minutes ago, brother.
I should jump back to it. 9:56.
Okay.
It was about 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
That was very much an old married couple argument. Yes, I will agree.
It's like, Derek, shut up for a second and let me talk. Well, yes, in that sense, who's the no, let's not go that one right. We got this one too.
The sensitivity's on par with USSF. You talking about Pulisic? It is. It's a little
too. Yeah.
Somebody else brought up a point. Good point. If this were like Harry Kane deciding not to go and play for England, or let's say Karl-Heinz Rummenigge back in the 80s, not playing for Germany, just didn't feel like playing, they'd be torched, absolutely torched in the mainstream press. But guess what? Pulisic is only being torched in the minor stream press. Minor.
So, yeah.
It's very minor.
I think it's the next clip I've got here. Colin sent me this video clip. And he does kind of go into this. Let me pull it up here. Let's watch it.
So with Christian, I put him separate because he's played a ton of games. He's been a leader. He's been the man, and he's performed. And he cares. It shows that he cares when he's with.
This is after he said he didn't care, though. But that's okay.
That's what I paused for just that answer. Yes,
we were the only reasonable voices out there. By the way,
yeah,
we were the only ones. Everybody else was wrecking the team, and we said no. They care. They might not care in the right way, but they do care. And we gave examples of from my own personal experience about the difference between caring and playing with a chip on your fucking shoulder is a totally different thing. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, and caring about we talked about this too, caring about wanting to win and then coming in there not as sharp as you could be, not in the best shape as you normally would be. You stayed up too late watching the Predator movies the night before.
Yeah, and then you wake up and you're like,
diet, but you eat weed. I mean,
you wake up and you're like, oh man, I really care about this game, but fuck, I should have cared more about it last night when I stayed up till 3 a.m. But yeah, partying. And oh God, the coach found out about it, and now I'm McKenny, and I'm not going to be on the team going forward. But anyhow, yes, consequences, guys, there. But yes,
with the team. Okay, so I'm going to put him over here. The problem I have with Christian in the last few weeks is he's still playing for Milan.
Oof. Yep. Here we go.
Okay. So if you're tired and you're burnout and whatever, if you guys are still playing for a Champions League spot, fine, I get it. They had nothing to play for this weekend. Zero.
Well, again, we've had this debate. Big difference in spots as far as money goes, awarded to teams where they finish in the table in Serie A.
Plus, AC Milan pays his bills. I mean, is he really going to go up to him on the last game? That could make a difference between X amount of dollars. I don't know how much difference between 8th and 9th is in Serie A, but he's getting paid by AC Milan. If he goes up to him, hey guys, I'm a little tired, worn down. I would like to take I would like to take an early summer break.
They'd say, "Fuck off."
Yeah. Bro, you're playing or you're getting shipped off.
We're paying you the big bucks. You're playing. I don't care how tired you are.
But from a national team standpoint, from a national team fan standpoint, let me rephrase that. I agree with Donovan here, and we said as much as well. I'm like, dude, if you're because at the time it's also been spread. The rumors being spread that he was dealing with hip flexor strains, and he's taking shots every week just to get by, and we're just there like, well, dude, guys, if you're needing a break from the national team, you should fucking break now. We said the same thing,
right?
So,
but then
I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm just we're making the argument against it.
Milan makes the call, and we don't know if Pulisic went to the coach and said, I'm worn out. I don't want to play the last 2 games of the season. There's no way he's going on to that coach and saying that. No fucking way. So they're going to play him, and they did.
Yep.
Tough titties, but there's nothing Pulisic can do about that. So you might notice in this conversation, we've gone back and forth on this. We've been on Timmy side and LD side, then we go back and we're on Pulisic side because all of this is not black and white.
Yeah.
Some things they're right about. Right. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes he's right. Sometimes they're all wrong. Sometimes they're all right. Listen, it's called nuance. It's not a black and white fucking discussion. That's a really big problem by the way, on Twitter. Everything's so fucking black and white. Now, let's take this tit for tat and break this down and say, you're right about that. You're wrong about this. You're right about that. You're wrong. Both sides have their faults, is all we're saying.
Yep.
They had the same thing to play for that you and I did.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my one thing. Okay, so I'm going to...
wait. If they had 0, if Timmy and Donovan had 0 to play for, like I'm guessing he means at Everton.
Yes. No. Right now, he's saying if we were to play tomorrow, we would have 0 to play for, and so did he.
Well, he said did, so that makes me think he's referring to their past.
I don't think so.
Fair enough. I'm just saying, if whatever, it doesn't matter. My point is basically, if he's saying if that's what he's saying, then to his argument, then why would they have even shown up to any of the Everton games at that point?
Yeah,
for the same reason why Pulisic's showing up to the AC Milan games.
Yeah, I mean they finished out the season like every team does, whether there's something to play for or not, just for damn pride. I mean, AC Milan is fighting for pride at that point. They don't want to finish 9th in the table. 8th is already embarrassing enough.
Already bad enough, yeah.
Yep.
Put Christian there. Let's get in Yunus Musa. I don't even have words because he's 22. He's played 16 games this year and he's tired and wants to spend now. Again, with the preface that or the caveat that
we haven't heard a reason why Musa's
yes.
It's personal.
The personal part was AC Milan told him, "You're taking a hike, buddy. You're out of here." And he said, "Oh shit." And yeah, stick around because you're going to have to take a physical because we're selling you. Yes, he also had a baby, but he's also going to be sold. And that sell is going to go to Napoli. He's going to have to stick around with his agent to get the deal done and then go through a physical. So he couldn't really leave. His club situation was fucked. It was in fuckery land. So, yeah, personal. A, you're told by your club your services are no longer needed. We'll be selling you. And B, you just had a baby. And you're also told to stick around because you're going to need to go do a physical in about 2 weeks. So stick around. Don't leave.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's not. It's definitely not that Musa's tired because Musa really didn't play.
No,
like
he's
half
not
the
tired.
minutes that Pulisic played and half the matches that Pulisic played. He's probably ready. He's probably ready more than anybody to go out there and play. But again, life has a way of ruining things.
I would say he's bummed, but he's actually going to go from a mid-table team to a Champions League team. So
somehow fell upwards.
No bumming about that. Might as well get ready to make sure you're there and ready to go early as possible into the Napoli camp. And also, you still have to go through the physical and be there with your agent when you sign the deal. So, yeah, you're not leaving. And he knew that, I am told, a week before the season ended that he was going to be sold. So, Yep.
That's rough to go back to practices after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe there's something serious going on. If there is, I apologize. I'm going to assume there's not because I haven't heard anything from you. So I'm just, to me, that's not even worth talking about.
Yeah.
The Jedi Robinson thing. So if people remember, he took time off during Nations League because he needed to get his knee right. You know what he did the next weekend, Tim?
Played?
He started and played for Fulham.
The next after the Nations League window, right? Like Nations League ended, and then he played full 90 minutes, right? That's all it was.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what
he did take a couple breaks at the end of the season where it looked like he was playing every other game almost, but yeah.
So he also now said he's not going to go to the Gold Cup. He doesn't want to go to the Gold Cup. Fine. You've had a long season. You've performed great. Why are you starting and playing 90 minutes the last 2 games for Fulham if your knee's so messed up?
It's not because it's not that messed up. It's just irritation, and he's going to have to go get surgery on it to fix it. I don't know. You've had those knee injuries where you can still play, but you need to go after the season's over and have shit dug out of your knee. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, I know of it, but I don't know. I mean, it's not unheard of for players to play with an injury, right? People are aware of this, right?
It's your club side. They're paying you all the money.
Yeah. So it's the same scenario in both cases. But I mean, quite frankly, the club side is saying, bro, maybe I'm assuming Fulham's sitting there going like, hey, bro, we need to talk to Greg, or we need to talk to whomever. Oh no, this would have been Poach, I guess. Talk to Poach about this. You're playing with an injury. Maybe you don't get called in for Nations League. Get some rest. We'll try to get you through the season. In the summer, you can get your surgery done.
Yep.
They're just trying. Fulham was just trying to get through the season at that point, and playing with an injured Jedi for a lot of it.
Yeah, it's almost if somebody said, has Donovan never had an injury before? I don't think he had many injuries. I don't think he had.
I think Ronaldo said something along those lines too. I'm going to paraphrase him, but it was along these lines of spoken from a player who's never really had an injury.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's awesome. I wish all of our players had the health of Donovan, quite frankly.
Right.
But unfortunately, we have this entire generation of injuries that just spring up all the fucking time.
And if you are struggling, even with minor ones, all that travel and as Pulisic said in the interview, fully willing to play the 2 friendlies, fully willing. But after that, I need a break to recover my body. And they said, go fuck off. So one roster team.
I've got the timestamp for this too, but it's interesting though, because this is really gonna murky the water for me, quite frankly. When he said that he was willing to play the 2 friendlies, because he's willing to play the 2 friendlies, but he's also talked about in the interview here. He goes, "Yeah, in a week from now, I can't wait. I'm going to be getting back into training, and there's a lot of things I want to work on personally." But where is that break going to come into play at in the end? Preseason's going to start before he knows it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I guess preseason's pretty relaxed, but yeah.
Again, though, this takes me to that point where he was willing to do the friendlies against a good opposition, but the idea of getting CONCACAF for a month in what has been conceived a meaningless tournament at this point for the last 4 years.
Yeah, people don't seem to understand that, but it is. I think what's more important for the players that aren't there is they're not going to be there to build the team for the World Cup. Fuck the Gold Cup. All I care about is the World Cup. We need to start building towards the World Cup. So people are like, well, let's move past Donovan. I'm done with this. It's like, we've heard all this shit.
He has one final point that he makes.
All right.
The big point. The whole reason of watching this clip is for this final comment.
We're going to be here till midnight.
What are you doing? What kind of message is that sending? If you are really injured and no problem. You totally fine. We respect that. Everyone has to make the decision that's best for them. What the hell are you doing? So my biggest thing, Tim, and then I'll stop. My biggest thing with these guys right now, the national team is not a priority for
That's
them.
correct. That's probably correct.
Yeah.
Because the national team's not paying their bills. And that's probably true. I think Jedi's like, yeah, I'm barely scraping through every game with Fulham and having to take all these shots to get through every game. And now I got to play national team. Oh, Jesus Christ. I got to go fly over there. And yeah, I mean, he's right. It's not a priority, obviously. The priority is club team.
Yeah. I think for a lot of these players, the priority is club team. That's not to say they don't care about representing the U.S. men's national team and wants to win with them. But it kind of takes us to the point we were kind of making there too, is that there's different. I mean, there's caring about wanting to be there, but then there's different levels of caring. And I'm sure they all want to be there. They all want to win and, bring glory back to the United States. But when it comes to a tournament or a friendly, I don't wager they have these concepts against friendlies against Mexico and Panama that don't mean anything too.
Somebody said, well, what if Pulisic goes to the Gold Cup and tears his ACL? Well, what if he goes to the Gold Cup and a bird flies onto the field, hits him directly in his baby nuts, and he has to go have major surgery to have his testicles removed? Come on.
Well, he was willing to play the meaningless friendlies.
Shit happens.
It was against better opposition.
You don't ever not play a game because, oh, shit, somebody could kick me in my left testicle and I'm out for a week. Or I could catch foot herpes from Stefan in the shower. Nobody plays the game or thinks of the game that way. No, that's not how any player thinks. You either want to be there or you don't. You're not going in any game, every single game, thinking, oh, I'm going to be injured. It's not how it works. What is Pulley scoring 5 goals versus 80 going to prove? Absolutely fucking jack shit, nothing. Yeah. It's not about proving dick squat anything at this point. You're not proving anything. We're trying to build towards the World Cup. We're trying to pull a team together that's going to be ready, a cohesive group, ready to go play a World Cup. And this was the last chance. Those 2 friendlies to get all the best players together, play top competition before the jack-off tournament at the Gold Cup.
Yeah. Well, and our argument really is the friendlies. Argument has always been like, hey, we should have had a roster of whoever we could get for the friendlies, and then you had the Gold Cup roster.
It's easy to do. It's been done before. Other teams are doing it. Okay? We just played Turkey. They did it. They brought in their Juventus guys who are going to play in the Club World Cup. But we won't bring in our Juventus guys to play in our 2 friendlies. Why? One roster only. How stubborn and rigid the fuck is that? At the same time, if I'm Pulisic and I'm told, sorry, it's just one roster, I'm saying, all right, fuck it, I'll go. But can we make a deal? Don't play me in the group stage. Don't play me in the group stage of Gold Cup. You guys can win it without me. If you need me later, I'll be there.
Well,
but make a deal. Make a deal.
As Swimmer goes, says we need Pulley to beat Trinidad and Tobago at the Gold Cup. I'm not sure. Obviously, he's being sarcastic about that because he says risk management. But the point I wanted to bring up about this is that we had Pulisic against Trinidad and Tobago in Trinidad and Tobago twice and lost both matches. So
yeah, well, and anybody thinking we're going to wipe the floor with Trinidad and Tobago with this lineup, as I told my brother,
dude, we beat the last Gold Cup. We beat Trinidad and Tobago 6-0.
Not with this lineup.
I'm just saying we did it with that lineup. I mean, we did have the Pirate of the Caribbean on our squad, so maybe that's the failing right there. We had a guy who could score against Island Nations.
Yeah,
we don't have that now.
I just think there's a lot of nuance here about where people are wrong about criticism and right about criticism. I think there were a lot of solutions that weren't explored by Poach in this situation. There were solutions where you could get some of your main guys onto the squad, have a lot of the main squad guys, let's say 5 or 6 of them that are missing here, play in those 2 friendlies, and then send them home. Or send them back to their clubs for the Club World Cup. Could have been done. A lot of other teams did it. A lot of them. Other national teams did exactly that. Instead, We got dick squat out of this break, out of this international window. We're getting dick squat out of this. And I know everybody, there are a few people who are like, oh, Gold Cup. We need to win this World Gold Cup. No, we don't. This isn't about winning the Gold Cup. This is about preparing for the World Cup. There is a year to go. You bring these guys in for the 2 friendlies, and you could have worked out a deal with some of them that at least they'll get a break if they stay for the whole window. They get a break during the group stage. Then they come in and play the quarters and the semis and the finals. But, rest them. There's a way to do this. This isn't fucking rocket science. You could have worked this out so everybody had enough rest. But apparently, there was only one way to do this, and it was one roster. Because everything else apparently was too complicated. Well, now you've got one roster, and that one roster is full of some guys that will have no shot at the national team going forward. And we just got embarrassed. Mm-hmm. So, thanks to your stubbornness, we're not going to be able to do that. Do I also think that some of the players, well, Pulisic specifically, could have said, all right, I'll be there. I'll just be there. And then he could have faked an injury after the 2 friendlies and gone home like Des did.
Yeah.
Not that Des faked an injury. I'm just kidding. But you could have done that.
Well, I know obviously Ballo left with a quote-unquote ankle injury, and maybe he picked one up. And Desk left because they sent him home with a personal training regiment to get ready for the next season.
Isn't that offensive to the PSV doctors?
Yeah.
They're like, no, dude, we've already had him out there playing.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
But I mean, that I wonder if there were more players like that. We've talked about a number of them, but that were simply like, yeah, we'll play. I use Ballo and I use Des as an example because they just got off this long injury. But I wonder if they looked at this and said, well, yeah, we would like to just play the 2 friendlies and then go back and rest and get ready for the next season. I mean, Des literally only played a handful of games that season.
I can't remember who it was. There were 2 U.S. soccer guys that were talking. And they were like, yeah, I mean, I was injured, but I always showed up at camp because I never wanted to be accused of not showing up at camp. So I showed up. They did my physical. They said, why are you here? You're injured. I'm like, yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. They're like, no, it's bad. You need to leave. Well, at least you showed up, right? So you couldn't be accused of not showing up. Frank Kassler for $4.99. If the national team is not a priority, they do not care. They do care, Frank, but it's not it's like saying, I really care about my dog because I love my dog. My dog was my main man. Me and my dog had a special connection when he was alive, Gizmo. And then, my second priority after that was my cat. My dog took a lot more effort, though. I had to walk my dog because he can't shit in a fucking sandbox. I spent a lot more time with my dog. I was much more emotionally invested with my dog, but I still cared about my fucking cat.
Okay.
I still cared about my cat. I cared. Not as much as my dog.
We had the same example, just different types of it. My example was going to be like, assume that my Saturday, my son has his birthday, but we were also invited by my friends to go have a cookout. Well, my number one priority is my family, my son.
Your son's birthday.
But that doesn't mean I don't care about my friends.
Absolutely. You do care about your friends, but your friends, if they're good friends, will understand. Right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. They won't say like, oh, Brett couldn't make it because he was tired.
My cat understood why I was always spending so much time with my dog, right? Because my dog followed me wherever I went. My cat didn't. All right. RD Rap 13 for $4.99 says, problem is these dudes likely know there's a shoe. They're a shoe-in, so who cares about these meaningless games? There is something to that.
Yeah.
And, we just saw the situation with Lewandowski in Poland, where Lewandowski said, fuck it, I'm taking some time off. And the coach said, fuck you then. If you're not going to come in and play these 2 friendlies, then you're not playing the qualifiers or something like that. I can't remember the details of the story. And he's like, well, fuck you then. then I'm not playing anything. Fuck it. I'm not coming. And so the coach got fired yesterday for basically laying down the law to Lewandowski and saying, you got to play them all, buddy. Can't just play the qualifiers. You have to come in for the friendlies too. Lewandowski said, suck my dick. Not doing it. And the coach lost. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but there was no need for this power struggle to happen in the first place. Why are we having this power struggle? And we're going to see some criticism. Okay. It's veiled criticism coming up from Pulisic of Poach. It's in here, folks. You don't have to dig too deep.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's get into this.
All right, let's do it.
This is a timestamp that you sent my way. Not one of my original ones, but maybe just not written it down for this reason. But let's see what happens.
For my body, but the only point that I would make with that is that I did want to be a part of at least the 2 friendlies. I did speak with the coaches and I asked, and I wanted to be a part of the team in whatever capacity I could. And they said no. They said they only wanted 1 roster, and that's coach's decision. I fully respect that. I didn't understand it, but it is what it is. I wanted to be a part of that, but
okay,
yeah,
that I didn't understand it is a dig. Like, that's me saying, yeah, they told me and I respected it, but I was still thinking to myself, that's fucking stupid. That makes no sense. That's essentially what he just said. That's fucking stupid. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm willing to come in and play the 2 big friendlies against Turkey and Switzerland. 2 great teams. 2 really good teams that are going to really compete again, are going to be competitive. And they said, nah, fuck off. And I don't understand it. That's what he's saying. I get it. I'd be confused too. Is he, other people are saying, oh, he's too big for his own fucking ego. He thinks he can dictate what they do. He said, no, I respect that that's what they want to do. I just think I don't fucking get it because it fucking doesn't make any sense to me. Both things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, one of the few branch off slightly from what you're talking about here, but I mentioned early in the chat of this of the show, I go, "Is this AI Pulisic?" And people brought it up, and the one aspect that I didn't even think about, because my thought process was, man, that camera angle with that shirt makes his head look tiny on his body. I'm like, there seems like something's wrong here.
I need to work on that.
Somebody was like, somebody.
Because my head always looks giant on our show.
But somebody's like, only AI would come up with a fan like that. The fan in the background.
No, those are artsy fans.
I've never seen a fan like that, but then again, I don't have artsy fans.
Yeah, so. You need to get to know more gay people.
See, this may be a lot of the same thing we just basically said, but this has to do with him sitting out this window.
I don't know. I've always said you guys would probably be surprised with how little I actually gets to me. I try to stay away from it as much as I can. I mean, when it comes to those guys, I don't know. I guess it is tough because I looked up to those guys growing up. Yep. Some of these guys were my idols, and
yeah, we talked about that earlier as part of the rub about being offended and sending that DM message on Instagram.
Yeah, but it was Mark. It was Mark. That's the problem. If there was a problem, it should have been CP, not Mark Pulisic, and that's Mark.
Well, no. Initially, the DM was Pulisic, but Mark chimed in the end.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, because Pulisic was the one who's like, "Hey, I don't agree with with your take." Et cetera,
you were out of line, and I quote.
Because he also specified that Mark can get the number. It's in Pulisic's DMs.
You're right.
So,
I respect them so much as players, and it's tough, especially.
I respect them so much as players,
not as people,
or as commentators.
Yeah.
When some of them as well, even privately, the way they can, the way they talk to me and clearly want to show support and be your friend and everything. And then it goes and they say something slightly different publicly. And that's fine.
All right. Well, word to you, brother. They work in the media now. And yes, privately, they're going to be supportive. But frankly, I don't think Howard's have said anything that's been that ridiculous. If you want to disagree with Donovan, fine. But just disagree with him. In public, they're going to have to cover the game. You do understand, CP, there is a difference between private and then a show. In private, when I conversate with Lawless, we have a good time. We talk about music. We send him clips of our show, and he thinks they're funny. Publicly, if he says something we disagree with, we're caking him on. Period. End of story. We don't care if we're friends. Same thing goes for Pete and Tech. We like those guys. We don't always agree with them. We're going to disagree with them right here, and it ain't personal.
So you need.
Sorry, that spinning wheel of death was.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, they have a job to do.
Yeah.
And you may not agree with the criticism, but I mean, they could be friends with you and friendly with you, but they're not gonna slobber all over your nuts in the media. They're gonna critique your play, and they're gonna talk about it. They might be wrong, or you may find something that they say to be so wrongly offensive. But it's just, but not everybody's like Casey Keller and Greg Berhalter, right?
This goes back to something, and we could have warned. Yeah, exactly. We could have warned Tact about this before he started doing interviews with young players years ago. Because then he's since come out and said exactly why we don't do interviews with young players. Once you do an interview with young players, then they go on to the national team, and you don't fully support them 100% of the time on your show, they come after you. I thought we were friends, man. Like you owe them something because you had their son was on your show. I thought we were good. Why are you criticizing my son? Why are you what? He had a bad game. Why'd you say all that? Because I'm here to cover the game, fuckface. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to diddle your son. I'm not here to warm his fanny. I'm here to cover the game. Objectively. It's not personal. I have nothing against little Johnny. Johnny just played a bad game, and I have to report that Johnny played a bad game. Well, I just find you guys made it really personal for me. I didn't think he played. That is what Cactus had to deal with now for the last 3 years. And we should have warned him because we dealt with it back at Big Soccer. None of this crybaby bullshit. That is what you get. People expect after you give them an interview to suck their nutsack regardless going forward. And so you're not going to get your nuts sucked. It's not going to happen. I don't suck nuts. I don't do it. I don't like testes in my mouth. It's not happening. I'm going to call it like I see it. And all of us who cover this game needs to be real about that. But those people don't understand that. They think they have formed a bond with you, a relationship. And when you say something that they don't agree with about something someone in their family, they get all upset and on your ass. And you're like, dude, I'm just covering the game. I'm sorry your son had a bad game. My bad. Oh, I'm sorry your best friend had a bad game. That's when I got too. Why are you criticizing my best buddy, man? Why are you saying Pulisic is a virgin, man? Dude, I am just fucking kidding around, number one there. Yeah. It's just part of the show. It's not a legit criticism. Like, it's tender vittles out there, man. Tender fucking vittles. So I get it. Why he expects special treatment just because he's Christian Pulisic and he played with Tim Howard and the other guy, Landon Donovan, is a former U.S. men's national team. You're not getting special treatment. In private, they're cheering you on. Of course they are. But in public, they have to be honest about what they see. Period.
So, and another reason why we won't have those type of interviews on our show, quite frankly, is when we do have guests on, we don't provide an itinerary of what questions we're going to ask. We say, hey, we're going to talk about this topic, this topic, this topic.
There you go. 3 bullet points.
Because here's what's going to happen. Derek will have a script of questions he wants to ask. Not that he provides them to anybody, but he'll provide hey, I want to talk about this, da, da, da. And then all of a sudden, we branch off into something completely similar or different, or something that we weren't necessarily focusing. Because it's like, I respect those guys as players. Just players, they're pundits now. Do you not respect them as pundits? But that would never happen on another show that has these type of players or coaches on, because they want to know exactly what they're walking into.
Right. Mainstream media is different. They're going to treat these players with kid gloves. And that's been the problem with mainstream media, especially the ones asking the manager the questions after the games and before the games. Atrocious. Ass kissing. And if anybody steps out of line, and we've had many of them on our show, right? I'm not mentioning names, who've lost their pass because they asked too hard of a question. We've had others on our show that have managed to figure out how not to get banned and yet ask questions that are vital and still not get banned. Brian Schroeder's still there. I mean, he's just smart about how he frames the question, right? I'd say the same thing goes for Jeff.
Carlo.
No. Our Jeff, not Carlisle. Carlisle Softball City. The guy from DC paper. Washington Post. Forgot his name. Anyhow.
Jeff of the G. Golf.
Thank you. Yes. He's still around.
Spicy Jeff.
Occasionally, occasionally Goss throws out a pertinent question, but he frames it in such a way that he gets away with it. Meg didn't get away with it for very long. Pete's never been called on, and he's on all those.
No.
Never called on.
U.S. Soccer's sitting there going, we can't have a woman asking us questions.
Well, they liked Meg at first, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then she asked a couple spicy questions. They're like, nah, we're not calling on her anymore. All right.
Very talkative and friendly with these stray red card cats.
Yeah, I don't think they knew that at the time. Although they know who we are. You don't get invited to Austin, Texas to meet U.S. Soccer staff unless people know who you are. So, and they also knew already about the turd behind the
turd in the background. Yeah,
turd in the background. They already knew about that too, and they all got to give credit that they laughed about that. They thought that was funny. I mean, maybe they laughed about it to us, but probably they don't think it's very funny, actually. Fallen Phoenix for $5. There's a vitriol towards criticism of any kind in the U.S. soccer landscape. We all just want U.S. men's national. We all, correct. Beautiful fucking. That is so wonderfully put. God, we all yearn for success. That's all we want. We want the team to get better, not worse. We all want this team to succeed. Brett and I would love to come on the show, and all we do the whole show is jerk off and tell you how wonderful the fucking U.S. men's national team is. That's all I want to do. I want to celebrate, man. I don't want criticism. I don't want to sit here and have to be critical. Nobody wants to do this. Nobody really enjoys being disappointed by the team. So this isn't personal. It's just disappointing. All right.
I had to, since we kind of jumped on that topic, it's just a question would have came later in the show. I'm skipping ahead, but the problem was the link you sent me was only a snippet of the actual interview.
Yeah, it's the full 28 minutes with Pulisic.
He's on there for like 40 minutes, dude. Plus 42 minutes.
Okay.
So I had to jump back over here and let me share this real quick. So yeah, and I'm going to pull up Fallen's comment again. We all just want U.S. men's national team to succeed. I'm going to play a segment here think Miola may have asked it, but he's like, what if you could say one thing to fans out there who just watch U.S. Men's national team, not watch club or anything, like just watch US
Casuals,
what would you tell them?
Mm-hmm.
And this is Pulisic's statement, and this is going to be about a minute long here. But
if I'm just a fan of the U.S. team, it's the only team that I watch, right? What's your message to somebody that is looking at this national team for positivity and what the outlook will be for the World Cup?
Yeah, I would just say to just keep that positive spirit and believe until the very end, because I think that's something that we're lacking nowadays. We're just so quick to be negative off of, one performance.
Tell me when you want me to stop.
They
Right
forget
now.
real fast.
Yeah, I think that's what Napoleon should have told all the French army as they were basically barely surviving and retreating from Russia after a winter where they got slaughtered. Believe in me, still believe in me. Well, it turns out, whether they believed in him or not, almost 250,000 soldiers died on that trip to Russia and back. So at what point, and that's an extreme example, but at what point when things are going downhill, do you listen? We're all humans. We're watching the games. Make us believe, because we want to. Like, everyone wants to believe. Nobody, like, you'd have to give me brain surgery and just turn the little part of my brain on that just says believe all the time, regardless, and be happy. That's the only way that's doing. You want us all to go out and have brain surgery? Is that what you're asking me to do? Because I'm not doing it. I have eyes, I have ears, and I have watching the games. I'm not believing in anything. You got to make me believe. That's how this works. That's how this works, Brett.
Artie Rap says, Charlie's face says it all, LOL. I think Jimmy's says it all. Actually. Jimmy's like, what are you trying to sell me here?
Right. Whatever, dude.
BMR says maybe Moore would have survived if Napoleon was taller.
But BMR will be here all week, folks.
We haven't had a Napoleon joke in a while. You haven't brought him up for that reason. I'm sure you're probably just tired of people saying like, "Man, Napoleon's short."
The successes that you've had, and they'll remember real fast once we get a big win. And I would say to just keep the faith, keep believing, just support the team in every way that you can. Go out to the games. We appreciate it, and I think support all the players in their club journeys. And I think it's an exciting team. And
so he does make one comment there at the beginning that kind of got cut off. The fans are quick to forget all the successes we had. We've won 3 out of 4 Nations League. We've won, not this specific team by any means, but we've won Gold Cups under Berhalter and BJ. No, BJ didn't win a Gold Cup. Never mind, take that back. We got out of the group stage in the
Nations
World
League.
Cup. There were successes. Yeah, we won. I was mentioned the 3 out of 4 nations. There were successes with this squad, 100%. But the problem is that we aren't looking at the past. We're like, that's great. You guys had success over there. You guys kind of suck right now.
Yeah, it's like Dirk Diggler, okay? Dirk Diggler was a massive porn star, and he did all these great movies. He was rock hard for every scene, fabulous star. Then he started taking drugs. Not what we're talking about here. Nobody on the team's taking drugs. They're just taking some sort of mind fuckery. Yeah. And when the Dirk Diggler started showing up to shoots, and he was flaccid as hell, time after time after time after time, 5 shoots in a row, 6 shoots, 7 shoots in a row, and he can't get it up. Somebody's going to say, hey, I think Dirk's lost it. I think we're going in the wrong direction here. I don't think Dirk Diggler is performing. And we stopped hiring you. We stopped watching you because you show up with soggy dick, and all your porn is you basically having to hold your soggy penis as you try to insert it. That's not what we want. Okay?
You can only take so much B-roll of a flaccid cock smacking chicken.
Exactly.
It's too much. It's just too much.
Exactly. We need full-on erection. This team has been flaccid. I'm sorry. It has been flaccid and going in the wrong direction. And you can't expect us to just keep hoping Dirk Diggler will get a hard on at some point, because it's been proven for at least 5 or 6 shoots now 5 or 6 movies that things are heading in the wrong direction and Dirk Diggler's doing too many drugs or he's not focused on being the best porn star he can be. Okay? And that's the problem here. That's where we're going with this. Like, we need to see full erection, full penetration, and a great show. And then we'll all be back on Dirk Diggler's side. You need to prove it to us, dude. Not the other way around. We don't just hang around hoping Dirk Diggler gets hard. We need to see it happen. Okay?
Yeah. I'd like to see that TIFO in the fan section.
Derek's VHS porn collection takes up an entire spare bedroom. It used to. I've digitalized all of them. They're all in thumb drives now. It's all good.
If anybody from what am I spacing our supporters group's name now? American Outlaws. If anybody from American Outlaws is watching this show right now, that's the TIFO we need. At some point, we need a TIFO of Dirk Diggler. Maybe throw like Pulisic's set on it or something like that. But then as the team's doing better throughout the game, you take a third stick and you start pulling it out this way, and all of a sudden he's getting an erection.
Yes.
It's bigger and bigger and bigger as good as we get.
Yes.
At some point, we'd like to see that erection go all the way around the stadium, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, by the way, people don't know Dirk Diggler was not a real porn star. That was a movie about a porn star starring Burt Reynolds and Mark, what's his face? The boy band guy. Mark
and Funky Bunch?
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
It was a great movie, by the way.
I don't know why Mark Ruffalo is the first one that popped in my mind when you said Mark.
Well worth seeing that movie, by the way. Still a movie Pete, who's an actor, has never seen. And I brought this up several times with him. Did you know they were working on a sequel for Boogie Nights, Boogie Nights 2? And I said, you need to try out for that. He's like, what's Boogie Nights? I said, oh my God, you don't know what Boogie Nights is? Anyhow, point being, people don't just believe to believe. People are convinced to believe. They don't just believe haphazardly in anything. You got to convince them. All right. Sorry.
We can still accomplish so much. You know, there's so much negativity around the team and around this sport in this country that people want to bring to light. But let's just bring how, you know, all the positivity and what this team has become. And you know, look at where the players are playing nowadays. It's an exciting time. And just.
Well, there's so much negativity around the sport and the culture in this country. He's playing in Europe. I mean, he did it. He played for Chelsea. Has he not experienced the negativity there too?
Yes, he has.
So maybe this was his safe space in that sense, but
it's not a safe space anymore. It's not a safe space anymore, and that's the point. But really, honestly, he's spoiled because even though this criticism is coming from these small-time shows that barely get more views than we do, okay, that have ex-U.S. men's national team players on it, like Landon Donovan and Tim Howard and Jimmy Conrad, they're not wiping the floor with us at all. All right. And we're what you're worried about. Like if it were on on USA Today headline, if it were on CNN or Fox News or any of the big media outlets, or God forbid, Joe Rogan was toasting you on his show, then maybe you have something to worry about. But no, those people give two fucks about soccer. What you're really worried about here is the core fan base are disappointed. The core fan base. And U.S. Soccer cannot afford to lose the core fan base and have them go to the dark side, because then you're only left with casuals.
Well, it's
and casuals don't care anyhow.
At this point, so
casuals aren't filling the stadium. They're going to show up at the World Cup and probably not know about any of this dark side coming into this. They might have read the whole Reina thing. That was on major papers. My dad even read that all these players didn't show up for this Gold Cup roster. He brought it up to me. So people are reading. They're casuals, and they're reading too. My brother knows about it. He's a casual. You know?
Dude, the fucking Indian Star has soccer transfers posted in it.
Pretty crazy, isn't it?
yeah, and he's like, man, all these players. And my dad's like, all these players are transferring or moving to different teams. I'm just like, yeah, it happens all the time. Every 6 months, there's the new one.
Your dad still reads the Indy Star, that piece of shit rag.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
He's
All
old
right.
school. He's old school.
I'm gonna go. I gotta go grab a Canada Dry. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Right on.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, some people do read the paper, like legit paper that comes to them, not just the paper on the computer. Yeah, my dad would spend maybe like 10 seconds on the computer a day if he had to, at most. So, as Derek's walking back here,
I'm back.
So, in response to Pulisic in that last segment there, I posted a quote unquote just support the team. Mix that in with quote unquote I wish more American fans would just show up. Comment. I think we are all well past the years of blind support. As we grow and develop as a soccer nation, we end up having expectations, and when those aren't met, negativity is sure to follow. Personally, I've never questioned the fans' support due to negativity. In fact, it displays their level of support to be torn down by the circumstances. By the current performances, in my opinion. Some fans are optimistic, others are pessimistic. If I were the players, I'd worry more about the fans that have become disenfranchised by the performance of late.
Yeah, that's so true. Listen, dude, we're diehards. We watch every game. A lot of people are diehards. They watch every game. What do you think they've been seeing lately? Of course they're fucking disappointed. For him not to say, listen, this is what he should have said. I understand you're disappointed. Like, the more recent results have not been good, and I get it. We need to do better. I promise you, we're going to do better. We're going to work on it. We're going to change your minds. I'm not asking you to, to give us, support that we haven't earned. So we know we got to earn your support, and we got to earn the casuals. We got to earn the diehards. We got to win everybody over right now because things are looking a little bleak. But I promise you, we're going to work our asses off to make sure this changes. And we're not giving up. And we hope you don't give up on us. That is what you say. That's what you say. Not that shit. Just believe. Believe Dirk Diggler's going to get a hard on. Just believe it.
As a Fire fan, I've been trusting the system for a decade plus at this point. I'm waiting for something to happen. So,
yeah, well, at least I got the brief championships in between with LA Galaxy. You've got nothing to hold on to.
I got many a wooden spoon.
Your team's been flaccid for years.
And yet, to be at this point.
And you still show up at the hotel to get slapped in the cheeks by a flaccid cock every year in Chicago. Good for you, Brett.
B-roll. Yeah, at some point, it'll get harder.
The dudes, they're always so flaccid they got to use a strap on you. Yeah. It's a pegging. Once again.
Always going back to it.
Better myself. What am I going to do for just bettering myself, and also, ultimately for the best thing for the team. And that's what I do. And to question, of all things, you can talk about my performances, whatever you want, but to question my commitment, especially towards the national team, in my opinion, that's way out of line.
Why is he smirking through all of it? Because he's an introvert. That's why.
Yeah. It's nervous. It's anxious.
This really requires a serious face, saying these things. But it's kind of like a joke to him, I guess, or he's just uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, sometimes you just smirk while you talk. It makes you look like, I don't know. It's definitely uncomfortable for him. But he wanted to do this. This is on him. He requested this.
Or his dad said, "Hey, bro, we got to go do this." I don't want to.
I would hate if that was true. Or U.S. Soccer did and said, "Dude, you got to show up somewhere because we're getting pummeled. Team's getting pummeled. You're getting pummeled. We're losing fans. This is as ugly as it's ever gotten. You got to show up." As I said in my post yesterday or the day before this interview, this was not planned. This is an emergency. interview. And then I congratulated Tony and Jimmy for getting it. I question Derek's commitment to the straight rate card.
He's planning dinners with family and friends over games. Lame, Derek.
Family will always come first, people.
That's Derek's number one priority. But he cares about the show too.
Yes, I do care deeply about the show. But I care even more deeply about my family. Sorry.
All right. The player, but also the person too. I'm not. This is how he is. I'm not a type of guy either that needs to go speak to the coach every day. I'm a pretty quiet guy myself. I'm not reaching out. I'm not. So I don't have an issue with
or reaching around.
Has it been slightly different with some of my other national team coaches? Yeah, but that's not something that I'm looking into too.
Yeah, so he's just saying, hey, yeah, you didn't talk to me that much. It's fine. I don't want to talk to him either. Wow.
Well, he's basically saying, hey, Poach isn't calling me every week. I don't need an every week call. And I guarantee you his team's reaching out to Pulisic every window saying, hey, bro, you're coming in. This is where, you'll reach out to this person about your travel expenses and stuff like that. But Poach isn't reaching out saying, hey, Pulisic, good game against whomever.
So, interesting note when he said, hey, I told them I was willing to play the 2 friendlies, but the coaches, coaches, plural. Are you hearing this, Brad?
Yeah, I hear you.
Plural, not Poach. The coaches, not Poach. The coaches, not Poach. The coaches told me he doesn't want to do that. He wants one roster, not Poach. This was not a discussion with Poach. It was discussion with, and I quote, coaches. Thank you. That's not even a one-on-one there, buddy. So
it may have started off with Poach. Here's the scenario. I know how much you like the scenarios. Poach is like, hey, Pulisic, I'm gonna need you to come in for the friendlies in Gold Cup. And he's like, hey, Poach, I need to take a rest. Can I just come in for the friendlies? Oh, this motherfucker. And he hands the phone off to one of his other coaches. Hey, Christian, it's Bob.
No, it would sound more like
Coach would really like to have one window, not 2 windows.
Hey, Christian, this is Javier. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you're out, dude. No, one roster, says Poach. I think it was coaches. I don't even think it was Poach. I don't think Poach picks up the phone and calls hardly anybody.
He's old school. He sends letters in the mail.
Old school. What's old school? Bruce Arena picked up the phone and called people all the time. Go ask the players. It's ridiculous. And who's more old school than Bruce?
Bruce.
Small things that just kept on lingering, and to go on and straight into the summer and play for up to 6 weeks, and then go directly into preseason with my team and get no rest, and then go straight into the next season and straight into the World Cup. I had to make a decision, and this is what I feel is best for myself, and like I said, ultimately best for the team. And yeah, with everyone, people can question my decision. I just don't understand why also so many people are so big on just wanting to give out these takes when they've been through tough moments themselves. I don't understand the idea of.
So he's referring to Donovan. That's that last bit.
Yes, for sure. He is referring to Donovan there. I just think that Donovan thinks it's different. He thinks it's not the same situation as he clearly laid out. Donovan doesn't think it's the same situation. I was 32, said Donovan. I've already played hundreds and hundreds of games for my team. It's not the same thing, my friend.
Eric had Ronaldo had a comment about that too, and he goes, "Well, Pulisic's not playing in a league where they're instructed not to hit him."
I heard that too. Yes, true. I think that Pulisic does take a lot of physical abuse
for club.
Yeah,
his history with injuries is well documented. He's out for a couple games here because of an injury due to a collision. He's out for a couple months here because of this injury. I mean, he's getting beaten up, and a lot of that's his own fault for the style of play that he plays.
Sure.
We've talked about that. The hero ball is the root cause of most of the tackles he gets hit with the U.S. national team.
Well, yeah.
And he talked about how, his body's been telling him for months now that, it needs to take a bit of a break here. And if his thought process is that he needs to take the break now so that he's fresh for the season and he can try and maintain that freshness leading into the World Cup, that's his decision ultimately to make.
Yeah, I suppose. Hey, for the 400 of you here right now, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your grandma. This is probably the third show in a row that we've gone over 400. So we do appreciate all of you showing up and listening to two jackasses talk about this stuff. We do get into the details of this stuff. I'm sorry, we do, because I think it's important. And I hope you're getting a better contextual idea of all the moving pieces here, because some guys are right here and then they're wrong there, and some guys are right there and they're wrong. It's not a one-sided story. This is not black and white. There are nuance to this whole situation. Go ahead, Brett. Sorry.
Yeah, they can talk about that. And like I said, I wanted to be there for the two games, after the season as well, and be there. And that's what the other guys were doing in Europe. They got to play, their games in Europe. And just for me, playing potentially 8 games and getting no rest at all when my body was feeling the way I did, I just felt like it could be a risk, and I had to make the best decision. So
yeah, well, there was that part where we said earlier when he said, yeah, I told him I want to play the 2 friendlies, and they said, no, it's one roster, and I totally respect that, but I don't understand it. I.e., I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. What are they, idiots? I don't understand why, because that's what I've done before under Greg. I've come in for friendlies before the Gold Cup, or I've come in for friendlies and then been let go early by Poach, too. Poach just let him go home early as well. So what the fuck's going on here? I don't understand it. That's basically what he's saying here. And not only that is he saying that, he's saying all these other teams are doing it. All these other European teams are doing it. They're all doing it too. And then letting the players go. And then letting them play the Club World Cup. But you don't know. It's crazy.
Somebody else posted on Twitter today. He's like, what was he's expecting to just come for 2 games and that's it? And I'm like, yeah. And he's planning on doing that again in September.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's generally only 2 games he comes in and plays for.
Right.
So, I mean, that's that aspect's not the talking point. The number of games that he was wanting to play is not the issue, because he's always coming in for a game here, 2 game here. It's the question of like rest over commitment to the national team. And again, I don't know. I can't tell you how Pulisic's feeling physically and mentally based off of all that stuff. And maybe he does need a couple extra weeks here before, and I skipped the one where he talks about it, but as here in the next week, he's going to be starting training up again, and he's going to be going right back into preseason with AC Milan. So, I mean, not a massive break in the end.
What I don't understand are people who don't understand the big picture of this. What I don't understand is like, oh yeah, why would he just bring him for 2 games? Because the whole point is winning Gold Cup. No, it's not. The whole point is performing well in the World Cup. Fuck the Gold Cup right in the asshole. I could give 2 shits about the Gold Cup at this point. All I'm trying to do is build the most cohesive team we can possibly put together. And if you could have brought McKennie, Weah, had Adams there already, Dest, and Pulisic, let's get them all there for those 2 friendlies against Turkey and Switzerland. Let's do it. Let's get the team together for those games. And then let them go.
Yeah.
But McKennie and Weah didn't even have that option. They were told to fuck off long ago. They said, no, we don't want you for the friendlies. Either you're going to be able to show up for the whole camp or you're out. Fuck you. Same thing goes for Reyna. Fuck off. And this was a long time ago, as you pointed out. Poach already pointed out a while back. This is going to be a one-camp roster. He didn't say it. One group roster.
Practically came out and said it, yeah.
He practically said, he intimated it by saying, yeah, well, Reyna's going to be the Club World Cup, so we're not bringing him. Well, that's convenient because you don't like him as a player. You only played him 10 minutes last window.
Yeah, so what was I going to say? I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say there. I started to say something like 3 times and stopped. Again.
I was still ranting.
yeah. I wasn't planning my timing out there very well. Doesn't really matter at this point, I guess.
I'm sorry. I'm just irritated by that.
No,
but
fine,
you made a good point that led me to make that point. So I just wish people would understand. Oh, fucking Gold Cup is so what?
Yep. Thank you. That I remembered it before I even started saying that again, because you guys, I don't give a shit about the Gold Cup. And let's preface that by saying the Gold Cup was obviously our federation's tournament, and it was kind of a relatively still big.
It was,
deal,
yeah,
and it warranted it. But we, as a federation, made the Gold Cup meaningless
by creating Nations League. Yep,
it's not. We have Nations League that butts head against it. Why in the world couldn't they possibly schedule the Nations League in a way that it doesn't conflict with the regional tournament, or alternate years, perhaps?
Yes.
Do something else, but when the federation looks at it and says, "Well, we're going to make sure we do this yearly tournament, and it's going to happen to coincide with this other tournament we've had for a while now," but we're going to more or less put them up right next to each other. Well, the bigger nations, I mean, hell, even Mexico was sending B and C squads to the Gold Cups.
Yep.
Not that their players are in Europe and they couldn't, but the Mexican teams didn't want to release their players either. You already had them for a month prior, or a couple days, or whatever, a couple weeks prior to this. So at that point, when we say, "Oh, fuck the Gold Cup," who fucking cares? I think somebody asked a question on Twitter, like, "What's bigger? What's better? The Gold Cup trophy or Copa trophy?" And I said, "Well, the Copa trophy."
Hell yeah.
Because it's not a more meaningful tournament, but it's definitely more competitive and better prepares our boys for the future.
Better teams.
Teams we play every fucking year. So
yeah, Gold Cup's getting old. I'm really sick of watching CONCACAF against CONCACAF teams. I'm fucking bored of it. Not that the players should be. And yeah, if we win the Gold Cup, great. Good, fine. But the whole point, listen, in an ideal world, you'd have your full A team playing the 2 friendlies and a fucking Gold Cup. Well, that's not going to happen because the Gold Cup's the same time fucking the Club World Cup is. So you're still missing 3 proper players, Reyna, McKennie, and Weah, because of the Club World Cup, which is another invented tournament, like the Nations League. All right?
Money.
We've turned this into a total clusterfuck for the players. And so the fact that some of the players wanted to play the 2 friendlies and then be released there's nothing wrong with that request. And we don't know how many of them there was, but as far as I understand it, it was more than 1. We're just talking about Pulisic here. But I do understand it could have included other players. That's what I've been told. Other players wanted to play the 2 friendlies and then take a break before the preseason starts with their clubs. So he's not alone. They're just not big names like Pulisic, so no one cares.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we as a federation don't care about the tournament, why should we get down on our players for having the same thought process?
I don't think it's that they don't care. They wanted to come play those 2 friendlies.
Well, I'm talking about the Gold Cup.
But the Gold Cup is not a tournament that's ever been prioritized for the last 4 years. It's a BC team tournament for us and has been through Berhalter and up to now. The only reason the Gold Cup this year means anything is it's a chance to build team cohesion, which we're obviously not going to do because all of the Ace team players are either hurt, missing, or didn't want to come. So that's fucked in the ass. So the Gold Cup really becomes only meaningful in the sense that we have 2 or 3 players that we didn't expect were going to be standout players become standout players. That's it. That's the only thing we're going to get out of this jack shit. Or we find out Tim Ream is really washed up. He's done. Or, we find out Turner's done. And Matt Freese is a better goalkeeper than he is. There are some things we can find out. It's not totally useless. It's not totally useless. But as far as building team cohesion, that's all this is. The Gold Cup itself, it's esteem in CONCACAF is so much lower than it used to be. It used to be the tournament. But then CONCACAF fucked itself in its own ass with its own cock and created Nations League to copy Europe. Other federations weren't that stupid. South America said, nah, shit's too jammed up already. We're not going to add a Nations League. Other federations said, no, not doing it. But we had to hop straight on the bandwagon and do Nations League so we could play CONCACAF teams continuously and forever. And forever. We don't even get the chance to play a lot of great European sides anymore. We got to play 2 medium ones here, which was fucking great. Turkey and Switzerland. I mean, that's a gift. That's a gift. And then Poach is just too stubborn to say, hey, Weah, McKennie, play these 2 and then go back to your club team for the Club World Cup. Pulisic, yeah, come on in. Play these 2 games against important opposition and then go back. It's fine. Absolutely fine. Testman, come on in. Play these 2, then go away. Nathaniel Brown, come on in. Play these 2 friendlies. It won't cap tie you. Don't worry about it. Nathaniel Brown. He's never. Nathaniel Brown's never got a fucking text message from a coach at the U.S. men's national team. All right. Yeah. There you go.
That does frustrate me is this like narrative that people want to create that it's that we don't care, that it's
Right.
a commitment and stuff like that. That's something that, like, in my opinion, it can just be kind of like a lazy take. Like, you can
real quick, I think that was Davies who said right. But I'm pretty sure their crew also questioned how much they cared, right?
Absolutely, yeah. He's like, yeah, I was lazy that day.
always say that, you know what I mean? But we're playing against, a Panama team, for example, who had a game plan and they executed a game plan. We couldn't find the goals that we needed, and then they scored in the last minute. It's like it just seems to me like not the best take ever, because I don't see a group of guys out there, especially when I'm out there playing. We don't step out there and not give 100%. It's just not. It's not something that we do. Like we all want it so bad. And
yeah, they had a game plan. We had a game plan. Their game plan trumped our game plan. Their game plan was literally sit back and let's hopefully counter a goal.
I mean, I hate to be shallow again, but it's really hard to listen to a guy with this facial expression talk about this. It's difficult. And with those 2 awkward fans in the background, as you mentioned earlier, spinning, I was looking at them and thinking, how efficient are those? Are those like technically more efficient? Those weird ass fans?
More fins, maybe it just shoots air in all sorts of directions. Who knows?
I'd like to see the engineering on that. Yeah. All right.
And we're out there battling, and sometimes things that don't go your way. Maybe we weren't prepared in the best way. We didn't execute our game plan. We didn't finish chances, and it's not to say that like our performances are acceptable. I'll be the first to say mine wasn't.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, he's stating, hey, we certainly care. Maybe we didn't show up to this camp as prepared as we should have. Maybe we didn't execute our plan and get our goals that we need to get. Our performances have been great. And yes, that's probably the best statement. I mean, Tyler's saying that, but he's saying we need to do better for this, X, Y, and Z. But this seems like it's definitely an earnest take right here.
Better.
Saying, hey, we know this hasn't been up to par and up to snuff.
Yeah.
But the players care. And that's basically what we were saying.
Yeah, they care. The question is, at what level of caring? There are many levels of caring. And that's the point we were making. I don't doubt you care. I just want to know how much you care. Yes, Sabi is at the Whitecaps. Somebody asked, where's Sabi? Not on this national team.
All right. Here comes this last segment we got to cover here. And then we're done with the Pulley interview.
Good.
That everyone's going to, judge based off those 90 minutes. Is this guy a leader? Is he not a leader? And nowadays, what he does on social media, it counts as if he's a leader or not, apparently. So
the horse picture or the donkey, whatever that was. He put out a picture of himself on vacation with his girlfriend.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, the horse. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, again, everybody knew he was on vacation, so I'm not sure why that really took off the way it was. He was resting. He took off, whatever. He might not have actually been there. He could have been here for these 2 friendlies and then gone on that vacation. But
that's what he requested to do. Yeah. He was told to fuck off. In so many words. Sorry, one roster. That's it. One roster. Seems a little rigid to me. Personally, little rigid as we're heading into the World Cup a year from now to be that fucking rigid. And again, I pointed out Lewandowski's situation earlier where that ended up having the manager fired. Well, I could guarantee you this. If it's between Pochettino and Christian Pulisic marketing this U.S. soccer team for U.S. soccer, Pulisic's going to win that battle. Okay? The only thing Poch got in his pocket is $6 million. And if he ends up butting heads with this guy and causing a scrap, as that's where we're at. Because has Poch at any time mentioned, Pulisic, he did say he wanted to play first 2 games. I said, we watched you the whole time. So I said, no, you take rest. Has Poch ever mentioned one time that Pulisic offered to come and play the 2 friendlies versus Switzerland and Turkey? No. All Poch has been doing in the media with Kim and Landon and others is saying this team doesn't put the U.S. men's national team at the top of their list. All the other big players in the world, it's the national team. They live and die for the shirt and the badge. Our guys, not so much. That's what he's been saying. He's been throwing these guys underneath the bus now for a fucking 4 weeks. And now we got this. A guy who just came out and said, well, you throw me under the bus, I'm going to throw you under the bus. I offered to play the 2 friendlies. They said, go fuck off. It's not like I didn't care. I wanted to come play. They said, fuck off, one roster. Then he said, oh, yeah, he doesn't ever call me, but that's okay. I'm not a guy that likes a lot of phone calls. Basically saying, yeah, Poch doesn't call and talk to the players. He doesn't talk to me. I'm the best player on the team. So you can only imagine what he probably does with the other players, which is, Des coming out now twice saying, no, never got a call from him, ever. Just the assistants. I mean, everybody is kind of saying, there's something brewing here, is what I'm saying. And it's Poch creating the brewing. And it's U.S. Soccer creating the brewing because they threw Pulisic underneath the bus and didn't give us the full context of the conversation. That's why Pulisic had to show up today and say, no. I said I would play the 2 friendlies. They said, fuck off. Okay? He's having to provide context because he's getting pummeled as being the complete pussy. And he's saying, no, I'm not a pussy. I'm still willing to come in for the Swiss and the Turkey game, but I then needed a break. My body needed a break. I'll play 2. I'm not playing 8. And Poach told me to fuck off. I'm sorry, the assistant coaches told me to fuck off. So, what's the Game Central $5? Derek clearly not giving his best, only bringing a distinctly potable level of quality to the straight red card. I question his heart. Oh, man, you're hurting. You're hurting my heart, baby. I'm giving it all tonight. I really am. So, I mean, if it comes down to Pulisic or Pochettino, Pochettino's out. He's gone. Because Pochettino is not marketing this team for years going forward. That's Pulisic. So, Pochettino starting, basically saying, hey, no, fuck off. Either you're fully committed or you're not committed. Like that black and white. I don't know. If I'm the coach, I'm saying, yeah, let's get everybody we can, including McKennie and Weah in for these 2 friendlies. And then I'll let everybody go that needs a break and a rest, including Des, McKennie, Weah, Pulisic, Balogun. Let them all go. We got plenty of other guys to play this fucking thing they call the Gold Cup against Haiti, Trinidad, Tobago, and all these other joke-ass teams. But for the 2 real teams we're going to play in the break, Turkey and fucking Switzerland, yeah, I want my best guys here. But he was stubborn and said, nope, it's all or nothing, bitches.
Mm-hmm.
Bitches, literally. He didn't say that literally, but figuratively, he certainly said, all in or nothing, or else fuck off. All right, well, that starts a conflict. This could get pretty itchy going forward, is all I'm saying. Pretty itchy.
Yeah.
Things he needs. Glad he's resting over, risking himself to play with this group. Don't really care to see Pulisic play against Saudi or Haiti. Get healthy, ball.
There's more to it, but I wanted to just give you a preference as far as where Lawless is going to go into this conversation here. He says, okay, what about the 5 windows and 10 friendly games between now and the first whistle of the 2026 World Cup? They'll involve mid-season travel, injury risk, fatigue, etc. Should Pulisic play in those?
Yeah, I'm sick of this. Oh, don't play him because he could get injured. Bullshit. Listen, injuries happen at the weirdest times and at the weirdest moments. He's more likely to get injured at AC Milan playing for his club next season than he is playing at the Gold Cup or anywhere else. So that's a debunked injury. He could get hit by a bus walking out of his apartment tomorrow, for Christ's sake.
Derek Gio would like a word with you.
Well, Gio's a special case.
His hand injury came with the U.S. men's national team and his leg fracture.
Yes. He's
all against CONCACAF.
Unlucky son of a bitch.
I think the most telling thing of this discussion here is that we're being made aware that there are 5 windows and 10 friendly games between now and the World Cup. We know of September, the rumored November. I'm guessing he's lumping in Camp Cupcake, which means that there's going to be 2 more windows before June.
Is Camp Cupcake going to be used as Camp Cupcake? I hope not. I hope not.
It's not an international window, so
you're right. It's not. So, yeah, but maybe, yeah.
But I mean, to be frank, that could be another window that you have faces like Freeman or Luna getting more. Maybe they're stepping up at that point, and these are players who are getting another look again. You know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean,
the squad we have right now is practically a Camp Cupcake squad.
Yep. No, it is. Alexi's right, though. It's not much time to go, which is why all of us a few months ago were thinking, surely this Gold Cup window, the whole of it, including the friendlies, is going to be the 18. Surely it is. Someone said, quit calling me Shirley, and no, it's not. And that was Poach. No, it's not. So, and the players of obviously in the Club World Cup fucks with that completely too, at least with 3 of our players, one of whom Poach doesn't value anyhow, Reyna. So it doesn't matter. He's already said, nope, he doesn't play my kind of ball. That's why I'm saying, don't be surprised if Reyna's out of the picture from here on out. Don't be surprised. I think he's a goner. Don't be surprised. if Sargent never gets called up again, don't be surprised. I think he looks at Reyna, and I think he looks at Sargent, and I think he looks at weak people. Why? I don't know. We've criticized Sargent plenty about his weak character in times of stress when he's not the man. He seems to shrivel a little bit. Maybe he's not looking for shrivelers. I don't think of Reyna as a shriveler at all. I think he's actually arrogant. But maybe that's not what he saw. I don't know.
He could be seeing a player during practice that looks languid. You mean you bring that
languid?
Up time?
Yes,
all of a sudden he's looking. I go, I got a lazy player here who's very talented, but he's lazy and he's not busting his ass during practice. And he ass is busted during practice.
I mean, look how many times we play the high press. Look at that. If we're going to play that all game, I think he's going to look at Reyna and go, no, that doesn't fit my system. He can't play a high press all game. He's not one of my guys. So I'm just telling you what to look out for going forward. I would suspect there is a good chance we will not see Reyna or Sargent for a good while. Just saying it right now. Okay.
Lawless. You want to read Lawless's other comment?
It's called national team duty for a reason. Players serve at the pleasure of the national team, not the other way around. It's an honor and a privilege, not a right and an option. U.S. men's national team wanted Pulisic to play in the Gold Cup, and Pulisic didn't want to. It matters, but moving on. Yeah.
So, I mean, another talking point that people have brought up is you compare these guys to other major players. And I think, quite frankly, the South American players are the ones you really can compare them to, because if you compare them to the European players, most of those guys are flying a couple hundred miles to the next national team game, or whatever. If it's a home game in England, the entire England team is already there. They're not traveling at all.
Not Yildiz and the other guy who flew here from Italy.
True, but then they're staying in the United States and going to the Club World Cup, so there's a reason they can make that flight. But my point would be, you could look at the South American players and you can make this argument, yes, because they have just as far, if not further, to fly for all of their World Cup qualifying matches, and they've got to fly back. But just like the American players, when they fly back to Europe, they generally don't play that first match unless they're just instrumental. There's a recovery time in that sense, and there's a lot when we have that much traveling involved. And that's the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I think it's an apples and oranges when comparing to teams that don't have to travel for the international windows. So,
yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, not to mention all the games these guys now play, but that's really the players at some point in Europe need to get together and form a fucking union and say no more. We're not doing any more games. This is too many games.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're creating these idiot tournaments too, just to make up more games. Conference League. Is that really necessary? Is anyone
back here
10 years from now going to ever remember what club won the Conference League? Unless it's your club. No one's going to. All anyone gives two fucks about is who won Champions League. That's it. That's all anybody's going to remember. Even if it's not your team, you remember who won it. But these minor league things they make up now for all these clubs to make more money, fine, they're making more money. I guess that's great for the clubs. I know after a while, I don't know it's that great for the players. They're getting pummeled and overplayed on top of national team duty. Now, thankfully, Pulisic's not going to have to worry about that next year. He's got no European Cup games to play. He's just got the Italian Cup to worry about, right? Olympiacos, my Greek
team, I'm guessing.
Team won it. But that was Derek's point. Laughing out loud. Yeah. All right. Are we going to make a starting 11 here real quick?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that. You want me to pull builder?
Yeah, let's build a starting 11. This is your starting 11 as far as we can guess Poach. God help us.
Oh, we're going with a 3.
3 in the back. Yes.
Goalkeeper.
I'm going Freeze.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, at this point, I'd go with Brady. I'd definitely go with Brady over Turner.
I'd go with your mom. Ream's going to start out left, I think.
Ream.
Richards.
Richards. You know what? Actually, it's too many letters. Yeah.
It's too many. Dick.
I'm sorry. It's Dix. My bad.
I'm going to be honest with you here. I think it's going to be Zimmerman.
Sure. I mean, the alternatives. You've got Robinson, which is possibility. I think McKenzie. So yeah, no, I think it's gonna be Zimmerman.
And I think he switches place with Dix. Richards.
Think Dix goes out right?
Yeah, because that's where he plays at Crystal Palace.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So now what do we play? We got Adams can't play, right?
Well, we don't know that. He had a foot injury that kept him out of the Swiss game.
Yeah, I don't think he plays. Well, he said, I hope he'll be good by the end of the tournament. By the end? Ooh, that's not good. So it's Cardoso is going to be one of them. And I think it's Luca De La Torre.
I like Luca De La Torre.
I did too.
I want club version Cardoso.
Me too. Can we get that, please? Yeah, I would like it to be Tolkien, but I don't think it's going to be.
I feel like it's got to be.
You really? It just seems like there's this love affair with Arson.
I don't disagree, but man, that last performance was just a massive amount of shambles.
Okay, I'll go with you on this then. It was shambles. And God help us, this has got to be Freeman. Please, no more Harriel. Please, God. It's not necessary. Let Freeman run wild with a back 3. Tillman playing more of this. I think Tillman's going to be more central. And I think he's your CAM. I think. I'm not sure. And then Luna as the dual 10.
I'm cool with that, actually, yeah.
And God help us, please. I think it's going to be Agamon, but I'd like it to be Downs.
I think it's going to be Agamon as well.
I think it's going to be Agamon. I'd love it to be Downs. Oh, but it's not going to be. So why kid ourselves? So a 3-4-2-1 sounds reasonable. I mean, I'm not crying over this, except for God, I'd really love Agamon to be Sargent. I would think this is the perfect time to get Sargent out of his funk. Would have been this Gold Cup. Get him out of the funk.
It's a shame that it's hard to interpret what Poach sees for right, because he didn't play at all in the Swiss match.
Right.
He played bit minutes in the first match against Turkey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So where does that put him in the rankings and where he's playing? Because if you put him like this, I mean, his only position he could play, quite frankly, is going to be
where Luna is.
Where Luna, well, if that takes us away from a dual 10, and that takes us 2 strikers or a straight out 4 with a 3 up top.
Listen, I mean, I'd love to say it'd be Wright or Downs. I just haven't been proven that to me that Poach values Wright. As you said, He didn't even play him.
Yeah.
And although it has been proven without any doubt whatsoever that Aguiman is not at this level, it is the Gold Cup. He should be fine, you would think, against Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe not as much against Saudi Arabia. We shall see. But
I think Wright would be absolutely serviceable as a striker because he's played that his entire life up until the
Coventry.
So,
yeah.
But then again, we think Maloney would be a solid enough center back because he played that position his entire life up until
Heidenheim.
Heidenheim, thank you.
Heidenheim moved him to a basically rogue center.
Stopper.
A rogue center back who plays about 5 feet in front of the center backs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a third center back. He's a destroyer. Wouldn't it be nice to have him here now with his competence?
Somebody could destroy.
Somebody who's just going to eat up the midfield attacks. Eat them up. Just like he did in Germany for Heidenheim for a full season before he got traded to Mainz, where still question that trade to Mainz, that transfer to Mainz. Like, you're going to a team that doesn't play a center defensive midfielder. What are you doing? Why are you making this move? Oh, to escape Heidenheim. But Heidenheim ended up surviving relegation in the relegation playoffs. So maybe you left too soon. But we don't know all the intricacies of his contract. So there are probably legit reasons for him to go. But to go to a team that doesn't play a destroyer seems pretty ridiculous. And go to a team that doesn't consider you a center back, pretty stupid. So I imagine he'll be moving again after this break. I can only imagine. Anyhow, let's make a quick prediction for each game. Can we put up the games in order of them being played? Because somebody else mentioned earlier the first game was Haiti. I thought it was for sure.
Suriname. Oh, sorry. I thought it was Trinidad and Tobago, and wasn't it Suriname?
Haiti and Saudi Arabia.
I thought it was Haiti too, and then I saw a photo of. Hold on, I'm just pulling up the schedule.
Unless I'm losing my mind, which is possible. It's late. We've been doing this for almost 3 hours. 3 hours and 32 minutes.
First game is against Trinidad.
Thank you. Okay, I wasn't losing my mind. And that's on Sunday. By the way,
Haiti, okay.
we will be calling the game live here. And after the game ends, tactical manager Filippo, our friend, will be joining the show for post-game comments. And what time is the Trinidad game on Sunday?
6 p.m.
All right. I got to get home early for my parents then. So I got to leave her. And then we play Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
That's on Thursday.
That's what the K is. So we'll be covering that live as well.
That's Thursday at 9:15.
9.
Our podcast is going to start a little bit, not even that much later, actually.
An hour late.
Yeah, but we can always get on roughly around the same time and do it.
Yeah, we'll get around probably like 9 o'clock, cover the pregame for 15 minutes, and then boom, do the show. And then who's next? 80. Yes. Okay.
That's on Sunday at 7 p.m.
Here are my predictions for each game, Brett.
Yep.
We beat Trinidad and Tobago 2-1.
I'm hoping I'm going to go with, send out some good vibes to your brother on this, and I'm saying we're going to be 3-0.
Okay. Yeah, my brother needs those. He needs those good vibes. I think that was like
Papa needs a new pair of shoes.
It's like a $50 bet, which isn't much for most people, and not for him either. He's pretty well off. And then we got Saudi Arabia and U.S. men's national team. I think it's going to be a tie, 1-1.
I don't know. I
All right.
I don't know.
And then we beat Haiti 2-0.
Sure, that's fine with me. Whatever.
And we get out of the group, and we're done. And then we got to go play somebody of relevance. And then I think we'll really see the cut of the jib of this team, this B team, with a mix of some A players. So, all right.
Or it says the Saudi's best players are going to Club World Cup. That's a great point. I didn't think about that. Most of their team. Imagine most of their key starters are probably going to be at the Club World Cup.
All right,
that's really going to be a BC squad at that point.
I think we win every game 2-0,
except for the first one where we win 3-1, 3-0.
2-1. All right, so 2-1, 2-0, 2-0. We're out of the group. I think that's how it'll go. We'll see. Yeah, I forgot that Al Hilal is going to be in the Club World Cup. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, good point, Jorge. All right, I think we're done. I mean, this has been 3 hours and 35 minutes of absolute madness. We'll be back on Sunday to cover the game live, starting at 5:45, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll be there 15 minutes before the whistle blows to do a little bit of pregame prep. We'll call the game live.
The games are on Fox, VIX, TUDN. That's it.
And then TAC will come in for postgame with us. So don't hesitate to join us. It'll be fun. Remember, we keep it fun. Even when we're losing, we're keeping it fun. And that's, I think, the key here. Got to have a good sense of humor about this, because the only other option is crying. And there's no crying on the straight red card.
Nope.
All right. Before Brett gets eaten by a shark, make sure that you hit subscribe and like at the bottom. Thanks to your grandma and your stepsister for hanging out with us this long. I'm sure she's hot and heavy and ready to go. So we're going to let you go now. Until then, we'll see you on Sunday. Good night.
That hurt.
I want to play in Europe. What the hell does that mean, right? Because Europe could be Latvia, Luxembourg.
No one's talking about Latvia or Luxembourg, dumbass.
For you to want to just shove it in there, start with the smaller finger, especially if this is the first time. Start with the smaller finger and go slow.
I mean, there's a lot of things that need to change.
Honey, eating it is the best thing that you can do for your man.
I want people to realize I'm just human. I'm just human, and I make mistakes.
So this guy, Derek, wants to know, is putting your tongue in an ass really the thing to do?
Yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah, it's a weird one, I think.
And I know you want me to touch your